us, the 8th annual all-day hall day, and to the Ocho. We're going to be spending time with a number of students and student groups, 8-minute segments talking about their experience and the things they do at Calvert Hall. We're right now with junior Sebastian Gieske, and Sebastian, let's just lay it out real quick, all the different things you do at Calvert Hall.
I play the trumpet. I'm the first chair in the band. I play in competition marching band, full marching band, jazz orchestra, wind ensemble, and jazz combo.
You've been recognized for your trumpet skills.
That's true.
What recognition have you received?
I'm third in the state for the all-state band.
All-state band, okay. All right, other things you do?
I play squash and I play rugby, and I'm part of the culinary club here.
Okay, and you take some advanced classes, right?
Yes, I take 3 APs and the rest are honors, and then yeah.
And you were you in the pit band for the?
I was in the pit band for the play. That was a lot of fun. That was my first time.
So you're busy guys. You never play rugby with the trumpet, do you?
No, not normally.
Not recently?
No.
All right, very good. Let's talk a little bit about the Calvert Hall band, let's talk about jazz. Talk to us a little bit about the Calvert Hall jazz program and how we jazz. I'm particularly interested in how Mr. Acton points out different people when they take their solos, etc. Go ahead.
So typically, the jazz orchestra, which is our big band, is made up of the best wind ensemble players. And these guys are not playing classical music, they're swinging the 8th notes. And so a lot of the repertoire that we get is from the Lincoln Center and some of the top jazz places. And it's harder music, but it sounds really good when it comes together. So,
but perfect jazz, we're not always playing the same notes every night.
No, we're not always.
Right. So when you get your solo, right?
So yeah, then we get a couple solos.
How do you jazz that up?
So we get like a set of chords, but I normally go home, I get a little backing track of it, and get in my little mood. And you gotta start going through it. And once I get something good, I'll record it and I'll listen to it, and I'll start to think about things that I could do there.
Now, if you were going to perform 3 nights in a row, I was going to point at you for the same solo. Would the solo be the same each night or not?
It'd be completely different each night.
And how do you keep it though under some sort of control? Like, I mean, what I mean by that is you had a good idea in your head. You don't want to start from scratch every time. Is it you have to learn how to play off the other notes or something? How does that work?
When I'm playing, I hopefully practice the chords enough that I know what's going on there, and then I just sort of think about all the different rhythms that I know. And if I'm playing and I hear something that's good, I'm like, oh, let me repeat that. Let me repeat it a half step up into the next chord, and then you just start flowing. It's almost like a conversation.
All those translations, they're automatic for you because you practice.
Yes, you have to practice a lot.
And what are the skills of a trumpet player?
Number one is probably like range and tone. So we get the really good ones normally really good at playing high. They get paid a lot for that. That's what they get paid for. And also your tone. You don't want to sound like horrible when you're blowing through this tiny little mouthpiece.
Right.
And then a lot of them, the really really good ones, have the best jazz ideas. So like they're always listening to jazz when they can't play. So like if I'm at home and I'm like reading a book for English or doing homework, I've normally got some jazz in the background. Not because I need to focus on it or anything, but it's just always in the back of my mind.
So it's almost like being fluent in a language, right? If I'm fluent in Spanish, I'm not even thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just doing it, right?
Exactly.
But there are some rules, right?
There are some rules. So yeah, our set of chords, you can be fluent in language, but you can always make mistakes and make wrong notes.
Like grammar.
It's like grammar, yeah. The best thing is though, when you make a wrong note, if you just move it half a step up, it's normally correct.
And a bad note that me sitting in the theater would say, like I never hear. It sounded great. You hear like it's like a baseball bat hitting you in the head.
We have a saying in the jazz band. It's we want to make ourselves sound good for Joe Blow, but if we think we sound good, then we're doing something right.
And then again, tell me how a jazz piece might go amongst the different, how it flows for a whole piece. How's that flow kind of work?
A lot of times in the jazz combo, which is a really small group of guys, which is all just solos and improvisation, we'll like play off each other's ideas. So I was playing at the concert the other night, and I finished my solo on, I think it was an F sharp for Black Orpheus, and my piano player Ethan, sitting right next to me, started his line right on F sharp and played the exact idea I did backwards. And I sat there and I was like, wow. No one else heard it in the audience, obviously, but
right. But it's so there's a lot of continuity. There's a lot of team play. There's a lot of you're listening to everything else that's going on.
Exactly.
That's pretty impressive. Talk a little bit about working in the pit band. the level of difficulty working in a pit band for a show?
The pit music, so yeah, jazz is really difficult, but the pit music rhythmically, even though it's on paper and I've got it in front of me, is the hardest stuff I've ever played. It's really high, and you have to know when to come in, and also you've got the singers like screaming in your ear the entire time.
The cues hit, they don't hit,
Exactly.
right?
It takes a lot of different moving parts.
Yeah. And you came to Calvert Hall as a sophomore, maybe?
I did. I transferred here.
Give me a sense of good student involved and stuff. Give me a sense of what skills you getting out of being at Calvert Hall besides just math class or whatever. What do you think?
Well, when I got here, my grades were a lot worse at a public school, and it was easier there. And as soon as I got here, it was more challenging, but it pushed me to be a better student. And then I instantly started practicing more. And then the more that I practiced, I was like, I can apply this to me that I'm learning. And I just started reading up on my homework, paying more attention in class, sitting in the front. Like, I just would never have gotten that at another school.
How do you balance out all the stuff you got to do?
Some days it gets hard, but most of the time I realize that what I'm doing is more of a privilege because I really enjoy doing it. And without it, I would not be where I am. So I just think about I've got a lot of stuff going on, but it's worth it. I'm never bored. It can get a little stressful, but as soon as I get the work done and write the paper that I need to write, I'm through.
What about all right? Let's switch for a second. We're gonna come back to the music a little bit, but tell us a little bit about. I love to talk about rugby. Tell us about the rugby experience and how rugby works and what it does for you.
So I never had the idea that I was gonna play rugby or squash when I came here, and rugby. It was a suggestion by one of my friends just to get more fit, to start doing the workouts, and I just fell in love with the sport. I mean, it's violent, but it's you've got your team around you. I mean, some people say, well, how could you go out there and play on the field? It's like I got 14 other guys that are watching my back, and it's hard and it's running and it's tackling, but it's fun.
It's very much there's a camaraderie among rugby. It's kind of unique,
Yes,
right?
it is.
And there's more strategy to it than people think, right?
A lot
It's all
more
strategy, right?
It's all strategy.
It's about ball placement, ball
Exactly.
position, and skills.
And lines and pods and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a pretty complicated sport. All right, we don't have a lot of time left. How about for the people's entertainment? Can you run some maybe some I don't know, runs for us or something? Give us a little trumpet play.
Sure. Do you want like a scale?
Yeah, run some scales. Give me an idea of a low note. Can you give me an idea of a low note?
So everything below that is like your pedal tone.
Right. Give him a high note. Now, for the real musicians, where was that note?
That was a C, above high C.
C above. Oh wow, that's pretty darn good. All right, well, that was a great 8 minutes. Great way to start off our long show of the Ocho. We've been giving guys a prompt, Sebastian, just trying to get some result. Their read, right? Mm-hmm. One word response. I say Calvert Hall. You say.
The best. Well, I want to say the best thing that's ever happened to me, but exciting.
Exciting. Very good. Well done. Yeah, the other ones were more than one word. All right. That's 8 minutes with Sebastian Gieske. Stay tuned for the Ocho. I'm here with Rocco Mazzulli. We're going to do 8 minutes with Rocco. Rocco, you're a freshman?
Yes, I am.
And you're in the art program?
Yes, I am.
And you had the honor of designing the Christmas card for Calvert Hall this year. What went into doing that Christmas card?
I really like to do art, and I got in touch with Miss Knapp, and she told me about doing the Christmas card. So I was like, I'm good at art. I showed her some ideas, and then, since
She picked one?
yeah, and then
you kind of worked it out.
she picked one I made for my grandfather a long time ago, but I decided to kind of make a new version of it,
Right,
just
right.
because
Add some detail.
add
whatever.
some new detail, add a little bit of Calvert Hall.
Exactly. And you're third generation Calvert Hall, maybe?
I'm fourth generation.
Fourth generation Calvert Hall.
Yeah.
Wow. Grandfather, father, grandfather, great grandfather,
Yes.
uncle.
Yes.
Right? Holy, how about that? That's amazing. How'd you get into art?
I've been drawing ever since I was a little kid, and it was only a couple years ago I kind of started to take my art professionally and start to get even into a little bit of business with it. I use my Instagram to reach out to people or have people reach out to me, and if they want something, then I'll
What kind of art? What is your style? What is your style?
I'm a big horror guy, so I'll do a lot of horror stuff.
Characters?
I'll do characters from movies, exactly. I've done pets before. I'll do things like this. I'll do landscapes. I kind of do a little bit of everything.
Are you a Marvel guy?
Yes, I'm a big Marvel guy.
The Avengers?
Yeah.
All right, very good. What about this piece of art behind us right here? This is for the art show?
Yes. So Mr. Doyle kind of like once, like around the beginning of school when we were first getting started, he came up to me. He was like, "I got a project for you." I was like, "All right, cool. What is this?" So he kind of picked that out, and he was like, "Just why don't you make this?" So I kind of just listened to him.
And what is this done in?
This is done in some colored pencil and this kind of like watercolor paint. I forgot the name of it.
Okay. It's both. It's both.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
And how do you pick up these like real fine fibers? That's what do you do for that?
It's a lot of practice. I have Mr. Doyle here, and I also have an awesome teacher that comes to my house every Friday, and I've been working with him for about a year maybe now, so all that practice kind of just, comes to the...
Do you use the art room a lot?
Yes, I come here almost every free. I also have a little studio at my house that I go down and work at quite often, so yeah.
And I understand the art department has an Instagram,
Yeah, so I
visual arts or something?
So Mr. Doyle and I was like to him, wouldn't it be funny if you did that? And he was like, yeah, it's actually a good idea. Not thinking he'd actually say that. So I went down to the president's office and I got it all worked out. So now
So how often do you post regular?
Yeah, I usually, whenever we're like, wrapping up or in the middle of like a certain like project, I'll usually like get pictures of everyone's art, or if I'm in here during like a session where like another class is in, because I come in here on my freeze, I'll usually get pictures of their stuff and try to bring them online.
So one of the things I would think would be interesting about being in the art program is all these other guys here, right? And
Yeah.
everybody's not the same artist, is that
No,
right?
Not at all.
What do you see in the other guys? What's kind of neat stuff that maybe you don't do that you see from other guys?
Well, it's funny because like I like to see how everyone else is doing, especially because I've never really like gotten to connect with people through art like this. Like I've never like been in a room full of people who love to draw, like, and it's kind of fun to see how everyone else's style like goes into their art and like to see a bunch of different like things.
And here you'll see a variety of styles, right? You'll see
wide variety.
realism, idealism,
Yes.
all kinds of stuff.
All the good stuff.
What's hard for you with art? What do you find hard? Like if I said, Rocco, do this, you say, oh, that's hard for me. What's hard for you?
Sometimes I get lazy and I will like not pick up a brush or drawing for a while. Sometimes I'll take a little bit of a break. My mom sometimes will like have to make me, which is not great. But like besides that, I don't know. I usually just like, if I'm drawing something and it's not coming to me right, I'll either switch, do something else, or I'll just keep trying.
Something like this. Were there mistakes along the way? How do you correct the mistakes?
I mean, with a good old eraser.
Pencil's easy to correct.
Right. Like sometimes I'll get the proportions wrong and I'll have to like rescale it, or just maybe I'll get a color wrong, so I have to really push down and erase that. That's why I always I have to try to learn to draw a light. I usually do sketchy lines when I'm starting off a drawing. I have to try to get better at
because you pre-draw it, right? I mean,
yeah,
kind of like, right?
I pre-draw it with pencil, and then I either go in with marker, paint, pencil.
So a guy in the art department, historically, right, will have like a sketch pad, something like this.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes they'll use the sketch pad. This is a pretty friendly Halloween character you have, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll use a sketch pad to do pre-work, right? And sometimes they'll do sketch pad. This is a very friendly person also, right? But sometimes you'll do that to kind of like test things out. When you do that,
yeah, I like to draw things to test different like that. I was watching people online do art and they were using these pencils, so I did that because I wanted to try out these new pencils I got to see if they would maybe work for me.
Yeah.
Work for me.
One of the greatest sketch pad things I've ever seen at Calvert Hall. Mr. Miseradino's brother Anthony, who's an amazing artist in California, he did a portrait of a setup of a tricycle, toys, whatever. He did a massive painting. But in his sketchbook, he had a mini painting, and he also had some notes on what he was motivation for doing the painting, what he was thinking, and maybe he even did some practice drawings along the way because he wanted to see how something looked. So that whole art's not just it's not just having a great artistic ability, right? It's skills, right? It's practice.
Exactly.
What's up next for Rocco in terms of art? Like, what are some things that you're trying to do next? What are you trying to learn? That kind of stuff.
I mean, whatever, my two teachers like kind of show me, I'll just go on there. I really want to expand my business and like, try to...
Have you done much with like computer art?
I haven't. I do a little bit of I've done a little bit of animation.
Yeah,
on YouTube
animation
before.
stuff. Yeah,
Mhm.
nice. Yeah, apparently that's. I mean, some guys say with those like sketch pads, electronic sketch pads,
Right.
you can do some amazing art.
You
I mean,
can,
it's
I've seen a lot of
It's
it.
high quality. What about some other things? Are you doing anything else at Calvert Hall? You're a good student. What else is going on at Calvert Hall since you've been here?
Well, it's funny because really this is kind of my thing. I'm not much of a sport person. This
Right.
has kind of been like my peak of interest. Besides doing all my classes, this is usually where I renege.
Well, you know what? It's been great doing 8 minutes with you. We can
Thank
do 80 minutes with you, right? All right, let me just give you like kind of a closure. Give me one word, okay? I'm gonna give you a prompt. You'll say, you'll respond. So Rocco Mazzulli. If I say Calvert Hall, you say
Awesome.
That's great. Thanks, Rocco, for your time. That's 8 minutes with Rocco Mazzulli. We're here on the Ocho with Khalil Bennett, senior. Khalil, just days away from graduation. How's it feel?
Yes, sir. It's great. So it's finally at the end of my Calvert Hall journey, ready to do big things.
All right, let's talk about a couple of things. You've been involved in a lot of Calvert Hall. First, let's talk about the BSU. Tell us about the BSU a little bit.
Yeah, so the Black Student Union is a space where students of color at Calvert Hall can come together, and we plan events, we have meetings, we talk about important topics to get to know each other better.
And what kind of events have you had?
Yeah, we've had cookouts, we've had meetings with other schools, we went to conferences to connect better within the private schools.
Very good. And you also, guys, you do some social outreach kind of thing. What kind of program have you done there?
So we've done toiletry drives for homeless shelters in the Towson community, and that's the big one we've done this year.
Okay, that's excellent. All right, let's talk about college right now. Where are you going next year?
I'm going to Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia.
Pretty impressive school, and you're going to major in?
Political science.
So you're going to be president?
Yes.
Good. Just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. But you're also going there to work in their speech program, right?
Yes.
They have an outstanding speech and debate program, and you've been involved in speech and debate here also, right?
Yes, since freshman year.
Since freshman year. And how did you come to be involved in speech and debate?
It was just a crazy mishap. I saw the door open in the bottom of George Young freshman year, and just walked in and took the lead.
And what is your what do you compete in that?
I do policy debate, me and my partner David.
And then you've been very successful. So
Yes.
you were recognized last year as national champ?
Yes, national champion, and this year I was student of the year. So,
Wow, that's impressive.
Thank you.
Now, do you still have anything left for that? Is there end of the year stuff?
Yeah,
or
there's a couple of national championships I have to go to, so hopefully we can.
Is that after you graduate?
It is one before and then another one after.
So you got an extended year.
Exactly.
All right, tell us a little bit about policy debate.
Policy debate is a two-person format where you get an affirmative and a negative team. You debate over a topic that's been discussed since June, so you can get a lot of research done beforehand, and you go in prepared.
And what's the topic this year?
The topic this year is AI cooperation with foreign countries like NATO and different foreign entities.
So tell me the issues involved. What are the issues you bring up?
So like the U.S. cybersecurity systems are pretty outdated, so we would work with NATO to have like an AI system so that we could predict future attacks and see where we can go.
So there's a lot of fear of AI, right?
Yeah.
And what are some of the fears?
Just like cyber attacks, we don't know like what these systems can do in the future and like how they'll
Pretend like they're people, whatever.
Exactly. So.
And so tell us how that policy debate works. I mean, what's the strategy for you? How's it organized, and how's the strategy for you and your partner?
Yeah, so it's organized. It's so the affirmative have one speech and then the negative goes directly after. We think that the way to strategize is just get a lot of research in. A lot of days it's just me, my partner, Dr. Susko, in the bottom of George Young, just putting in work, researching different topics, seeing like how we can get ahead.
And when you're on the affirmative, how long is your speech? How long is it supposed to be?
8 minute constructive speeches and then 5 minute rebuttals.
So on your 8 minute speech with lots of practice, can you hit the 8 minutes pretty exactly?
Yeah, we can get pretty close.
Are you allowed to go over?
No, I can't go
So
over.
so in your affirmative approach speech, right? What's the structure? What is the structure? I mean, you lead off with a point, and then how do you think about it?
You start off with a plan saying what the government should do, and then after that is just 7 minutes of evidence and things that you do that show that the plan is a good idea.
So just like a paper, you're probably trying to get like at least 3 good hits in.
Exactly.
And then what about on the other side of the coin? It's got to be hard to do rebuttals.
Yep. So it's kind of hard because there's this thing called the negative block where they have 13 minutes straight to speech, and you have 5 minutes to answer 13 minutes worth of speeches. So it can get a little hard, but we managed to pull through.
And what do you try to do? Pick out like one thing the guy says?
Yep.
But now after that, when you're coming up on rebuttal, how much break did you have before you get your rebuttal?
So we do have prep time where you can talk with your partner, see what arguments you want to make and which ones you want to focus on, And that's really how you pick and choose which ones you want to focus on and like what your strategy should be going in.
And then, do you like to lead off on the affirmative, or do you like to go second?
Yeah, I'm more of on the front end, and then my partner takes the rebuttal.
And how that plays in reality? Is that a coin flip? I mean, how does it play amongst teams?
I mean, it varies between your personnel, like between who has what strengths and who's good at what. So I think that me and my partner have a good job balancing that.
That's very interesting. Talk to me a little about your Calvert Hall experience. Now, you went to a school in the city.
Yes.
Now, how big was that school?
It was 21 kids in my graduating class.
Okay, so Calvert Hall's a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So, and did you know a lot of guys when you came here?
No, I knew maybe one person from basketball or rugby sports.
Okay, so how did your transition? How did you get transitioned into Calvert Hall? How did you find it? How did you get where you are today?
Yep. So transitioning in, it was just a lot of joining clubs and joining activities. That's where I met the bulk of my friend groups. So, and knowing people from my brothers before me that didn't come here, but they knew people that did come here. So that made the transition a little bit easier.
So yeah, so people are pretty welcoming, whatever.
Yes.
What as you leave Calvert Hall, what are some of the takeaways? What are some things you think that you may have gotten to prepare you for college and beyond college, leadership and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I'd say just leaning on people. Before Calvert Hall, I was kind of a lone wolf, just doing what I need to do to get by. But I think that Calvert Hall has taught me to lean on to my peers and to know that I can ask for help when needed.
Utilize your fellow students, utilize your
Resources,
teachers,
yes,
right?
sir.
Utilize your resources,
Yes,
because
sir.
I think, of course, that's part of the whole speaks thing,
Yeah.
right? Is utilizing your resources. You went down and you visited Emory?
Yes.
Tell us a little about Emory.
Emory, it's a liberal arts college in Atlanta, Georgia. It's focused on a lot of pre-medicine, but I think that the political science program is good. It's like being a big fish in a small pond, so that if I do like to go to law school, I can get into a good one and see
Are
what
you
it
thinking
goes
about
from
law
there.
school?
Yes, sir.
The policy arguing will help you a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about the classes you've had at Calvert Hall. Have there been some challenging classes? There have been classes where you've liked a lot? Just give me some feel for some of the academics.
Yeah, I'd say I mainly do well in my English classes and my history classes. I've taken honors English junior and senior year, and then I think that another good class is economics that I had my senior year, which was a different because it was a lot faster paced, and I had a teacher, Mr. Wrestler, who isn't exactly the lightest, but he makes sure you're prepared.
There you go. And how did you were pretty active, coming back and forth to school every day, a lot of stuff going on. How did you balance out all your work and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I'll just say just time management, knowing when and where to get what done, and just knowing when to lean in on debate and when to lean in on school.
Were you one of those guys that stayed up late? Were you catching up? Were you running to the Math Resource Center? What kind of student were you that way?
I think it depends on the week. I can be everywhere from the MRC to the ARC to the library getting stuff done. So I think just picking and choosing where I need to go at what I need to get done.
Well, that's great. You've made a great contribution to Calvert Hall over 4 years. It's really exciting stuff. Emory's a great school. I think you'll have a great experience there. Atlanta's a great town,
Yeah.
right? So it's gonna be all good all the way around. Khalil, we've been asking guys on the show. I give them a prompt and ask them for a one-word response. So Khalil, if I say Calvert Hall, what do you say?
Go Cards.
Well done.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Ocho from Carlo Crispino Stadium. We're with the Lawn Games Club, Luka Posovic, Jake Crandall, and Brendan Trentler. All right, that's a pretty powerful club. How to get started? Luka.
Well, I think, at first what it was freshman year was me and Jake were really in the hacky sack. And we went and asked Mr. Ford if he would be a moderator for our hacky sack club. He deferred us to Mr. Flannery, a new rookie teacher. And after a while, we got Trentler on board, who wanted to add the spike ball element. And after kind of Trentler got on board and, me and Jake had our hacky sack idea, we wanted to incorporate just a bunch of different lawn games. And so it went from the hacky sack club to the spike ball club to the lawn games club.
Nice. Well, the interesting thing about Calvert Hall, probably 50 clubs. And what's kind of neat is that all clubs are not the same level of commitment, right? So if you're in the yearbook, you're working every day after school, you got a lot of responsibility and stuff like that. But there's some more relaxing clubs. So, Brent, this is definitely a more relaxing club. Our people don't take all the games very seriously, do I hope?
No, it's more of a casual thing where you're just kind of going out there having fun with some friends, and it's going to meet people, good way to meet people.
Good way to socialize.
Yeah, socialize.
Jake, what's the whole itinerary of clubs we have now? I mean, games we play. What do we play?
We've got spike ball is the main one. Definitely brings the largest crowd.
It does it.
We've got cornhole, ultimate frisbee, pickup football games, pretty much anything. So
Spike ball. I've watched some spike ball on TV. It can go a little bit, right?
they can.
You
yeah.
get some long rounds.
Oh yeah, and it's very competitive. This guy right here, he knows all about it.
What's the secret strategy in spike ball? I mean, what do you try to do?
I kinda
Dump
have
it
to
in,
keep-
or-
I kind of have to keep my secrets to myself.
No, there you
Really
go. There you
spread
go.
that out to
You know, another good sport that people seem to be good social builder is the ultimate frisbee.
Yeah.
How's that go a little bit, Luca?
I mean, I think, I mean, honestly, I think it's just, guys get out there, they have fun, but, sorry, I don't sorry.
It's good.
Yeah.
But it's how many people play? You can play whatever you want. You can mix it up.
Yeah, we have, I think, we had 70
almost
kids,
up to 80.
almost 80 kids on the entire roster, and so not everyone is expected to come to even any of the meetings. but
Right. You
it's
come
just-
when you can. If you don't make it, you don't make it.
Exactly.
Nobody. I mean, which is a good thing, right? Because people are pretty busy around here. You can't make everything. But I think, given the all the stuff we have going on at Calvert Hall, it's a little bit of stress for even in the sports teams. It's kind of a good way to alternate from the stress, right?
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about your own case. You're all seniors. Tell us where you're going next year. What do you think? If you think of it, Luca, where are you going next year?
I'm going to University of Notre Dame.
And what are you thinking major-wise? Have you thought about that or not?
Yeah, I'm thinking business analytics.
More of the quantum numbers and all that kind of stuff?
Data science. Statistics,
Oh,
stuff like
data science is like the most popular thing right now.
Yep.
Jake,
Yeah.
yourself?
Going to University of South Carolina, looking into aerospace engineering is my major.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
So that's good stuff. And about you, Brendan?
James Madison University for media arts and design.
Oh, wow. A little variety, which is a classic Calvert Hall thing. Now, look, thinking about as you're coming out of Calvert Hall, what are some of the takeaways, right? What are some of the takeaways you have from your experience here, either academic, social, whatever? Luca, takeaways for you.
I mean, I think definitely one of the biggest things that I've taken away from Calvert Hall, especially from this club, has really been the brotherhood among all the classes. Like really learning that I'm not confined to just my age or my age group. We can really learn a lot from the seniors and even the freshmen now as current seniors. I think I've been able to learn a lot from every grade level here. I think we've done a really good job of uniting everybody and really building a healthy place to learn and grow.
Jake?
I would say kind of looking at the flip side of that, it's almost like the advocating for myself part. I think Calvert Hall provides a lot of really great opportunities and resources to develop your own personal skills and achieve even outside of a classroom or group setting.
Jake, opportunities at Calvert Hall to kind of work with your teachers. You found that to be the case?
Yeah, absolutely.
Outside the classroom kind of thing.
Yeah, even with freshman year, one of my first experiences with that was I was struggling a little bit in Spanish, and so my Spanish teacher had me work with them one-on-one every day, just little stuff like that to hone my individual skills.
That interaction with teachers, I think, is a big payoff for a university because you go to a bigger place, you got to find out, hey, where do I get some help around here? Right? Brendan, what about you? Takeaways?
I think it's been the friends. I've been able to find a good group of guys that I've been able to, have good relationships with. That I hope that they're long life friends, and just the ability to kind of advocate for myself to get into some more leadership roles like this with long games, and then it's communications club with communications director. So just being able to
Different experiences.
Yeah, different experiences.
All right, you guys have all had some unique experiences. Luca, talk a little bit about this awesome fundraising opportunity you had to assist charity.
Yeah, sure. So after my mom was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2021, I became really motivated to kind of find a way to battle the adversity which she had dealt with. So I became involved with the Leukemia Lymphoma Society's Student Visitors of the Year campaign. I worked extensively with Calvert Hall and you, Mr. Baker, to do different fundraising events and promote and advocate for the.
And you had to put
cause.
together a little campaign of your own, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And reach out and recruit people, invite people to participate. It was really, really well done.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Jake, you've been involved in the rugby program.
Yes.
All right, we're in the championship, right?
Yes.
Rugby's got a special spirit. What's the special spirit of rugby?
I think it really just boils down to the pride that we have in the team community and the school. Really, every game that we've played in, at the end after we shake the hands of the people who just played, the opponents, we sing our alma mater to the stands, to our fans, to our supporters. And I feel like just little things like that even the mentality and the attitude we take to the locker room and the field every day for practice has really helped to kind of build that team spirit.
It's people don't realize how much of a team sport rugby really is,
It
right?
really
It's a
is.
lot of guys. It's a lot of things coming together to make it happen.
Absolutely.
What's Calvert Hall's strategy this year?
Oh,
We're powerful.
That's a great question. I think we've kind of been able to dissect how other teams play really well, and we've developed some of our own different ways of moving the ball around the field. And honestly, we're really just looking every team we play against. How do we rack up as many points as we possibly can?
It's a lot of skills. There's a lot of skills. A lot of practice.
Yes.
Brendan, you've been the voice at Calvert Hall. You've probably called like on 300 games on the TV for us. Tell us a little bit about that opportunity.
It's opened me up to so many new things. Just being able to broadcast the games, and for the people that aren't able to come and watch it on YouTube.
How's your skills changed over the time you've been doing it?
I've been able to learn a little bit more about public speaking, and just trying to find where I want to go in life, and as a future job potentially to be a sports broadcaster. And I've just met so many cool people, and it's been an awesome experience.
Is it hard for you to be nice to the other team?
No, not at all. I try to stay as unbiased as possible.
There you go.
We kind of talk to them.
Except when Calvert Hall scores. Very good. Well done. Guys, I've been asking everybody on this show, I've been giving them a prompt, asking for a one-word reply. Right? So I say something, you give me one word back. So, Luca, when I say Calvert Hall, you say?
Great.
Jake?
Spirit.
Brendan? That's 8 minutes with 3 distinctive scholars. We're here on the Ocho spending 8 minutes with Evan Williams. Evan, you're a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you come to Calvert Hall every day from Howard County. All right, what time do you get up in the morning?
6:05.
How's that work for you?
It's fine.
A lot of homework. What time do you go to bed at night?
10:30ish.
Okay, so you got a long day, and you're involved in a lot of things. One of which is the speech and debate program. Tell us a little bit about speech and debate.
So debate, you're given a topic and you debate in pairs. So it would be me and another, typically a freshman if you're a freshman. But
And this is policy debate, right?
Policy debate.
So the season's set up based on there's a question or a topic for the season.
Mm-hmm.
What was the topic this year?
It was on NATO this year.
So kind of things like we should be in it or not be in it, or what kind of things would you bring up in that?
All sort of things. So we talked about Article 5.
Which is about what?
It's about Article 5 is like if an attack on one country.
Everybody should respond and stuff like that. So what makes good arguments?
You have to be pretty quick thinking because you might like start out with your base argument, but then you have to respond to their argument while building your argument based on the whole debate.
So what's the order of a competition? You speak, they speak kind of thing? How's that work?
Mm-hmm. So it starts out with the affirmative, like, so someone starts out talking, then the side
in favor of something.
Yeah. So the negative
Right.
would speak after that. Then it's the 2A, which is like the second. They would speak again.
Now the second guy comes up, he's he's listened to what you said a little bit. He's not just saying what he wants.
So he's based so on your team, the second guy would go up and he would base off of what you said.
Right.
And then he would add to that, and he would say why the other team's argument is bad.
Right. You're trying to tie in. You're not just randomly saying stuff. You're trying to connect, right?
Yep.
And then you have to be on any given day. You have to be able to argue both sides.
Yeah.
Is that hard?
It is pretty tough.
Because don't you sort of have a side you like
Yeah.
better?
I prefer the affirmative.
And so how do you get yourself ready to do the opposite of what you think you're for or whatever?
Go to practices on Tuesday and Thursday.
Right. It's a lot of work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing research on the topic and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's judges, and they're just taking a general feel who they think won, or what do you think? Are there points or something? How's that work? Do you think?
There's speaker points, so they base off how well you speak, and they also say on who made a better argument and dismantled the other team's argument the best.
Very good. That's it sounds pretty complicated, to be honest with you. And did you ever do anything like that before you came to Calvert Hall?
No.
That's kind
I
of
did a little bit of speaking.
A little bit of public speaking, but a little more like speeches, right, as opposed to arguing, so to speak. Good stuff. You're also part of the freshman baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What positions do you play for that?
I played second, short, and third.
Okay. How's high school baseball different than summer baseball, do you think?
Very serious. So my travel team, the Renegades, we would play for 2.5 hours. That would be our practice time. but like for Calvert Hall, it would be like from 3 to 7.
Right, and practice is much more. You're not just going out for a practice and playing baseball for 3 hours or whatever. I mean, you're actually drilling down, working on cutoffs, working on rotations, things like that. And what did you find high school pitching like when you're as the batter? Was it?
Oh, I'd say it was better than from my league.
And pretty. Do guys throw all kinds of stuff?
Oh yeah.
All right, the curveball, the splitter, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What are you working on in your game?
I'm working on like fielding, and because I'm infielder, so I really work on being clean and smooth, and then hitting, working on 2-strike approach. So if you have 2 strikes, making the swing a little shorter.
That's what the Orioles are apparently doing well this year, is working well with 2 strikes, right? Hey, our turf field, which we just installed, I guess a year or so ago, is supposed to have a more true bounce infield. Now you probably played on a lot of turf fields. Can you tell? I mean, do some fields have a different play?
Oh yeah, this Calvert Hall's field is amazing. Like I played on a dirt field like on Sunday, and it's way different.
And the ball. What would you say about the Calvert Hall infield? The way the ball plays, does it play more like grass?
You can predict, basically.
So you're not getting these weird hops and that kind of stuff. So you get a more truer play. Very interesting. You're also part of a McMullen Scholar program. When you came to Calvert Hall, what was it you saw about Calvert Hall that you liked and you thought, hell, I'm going to make that trip from Howard County every day?
Oh, I really was impressed by me and my parents were impressed by the McMullen Scholars Program, and all the opportunities they provide to you. And I also like the baseball.
Sure.
Baseball was very good.
And did you find your classes pretty hard, super hard, kind of hard? What do you think?
I think it varies depending on the class.
Okay.
It's like honors bio is very tough.
That's a very tough course. A lot of what do you say? Like honors bio is a lot of vocabulary.
A ton of vocab, and it's just a lot.
Lot to know.
Yeah.
And some of the words are darn pretty similar to each other, right? And it makes it even harder.
Yeah.
What about? And would you say you're an English history guy? You're a math science guy? What do you think you are?
I really enjoy math, but I also like history.
Okay. And have you ever thought about going forward your career? Have you thought about career yet? Or is it too early?
I'm looking at engineering, but
Okay.
I'm not positive, but engineering is definitely an interest to me.
Yeah. And of course we have some engineering courses here that you could maybe sneak in. You're gonna have a busy schedule, but some you could sneak in as you go further along the way. What have you? When you came to Calvert Hall, probably did you know a lot of guys?
I didn't know. I didn't really know anyone, but I made a lot of friends.
You made a lot of friends, so people seem to be kind of easy to get along with.
Oh,
You're able to find different groups to participate in. Now you probably don't have a ton of free time. Do you have much free time in your schedule?
With baseball, not.
Not really, but
No.
during the school day, where do you have a place you work out of? Do you like the library? Do you like the dining hall? What do you like to work out of?
I like the commons in the dining hall. The dining hall is really nice to hang out with friends, eat lunch.
Gives you a little break because you don't have a lot of breaks. When do you get most of your work done? Do you get work done before school, during school, nighttime, or you spread it all out?
Mostly during and after, not really before.
Right. Yeah. Sure. But you're able to get some work done during the school day. How about tell me a little sense of your teachers. What have you found the teachers like in coming to Calvert Hall?
The teachers are very they're willing to talk with you. So if you have questions, you really can ask it.
Well, I think that's good to hear. But I think what's kind of neat is the no bells, the available no hall passes, right? So if you need something, you can go search for a teacher and kind of find them and see what they can tell you, right? What recommendations to a student coming in new next year? What suggestions would you give to him to get started on like a good start right from the get-go?
Get involved in sports and activities because that's how you'll make your friends
and try some new things too, right? I mean, like you might you're not always going to do exactly what you thought you were going to do when you came in here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That was a great words of advice to help kids out coming in. Get involved right from the get-go, so you got something to kind of tie into, right? Because there's a lot of different. The interesting thing is a lot of different communities, right? There's the speech community, there's the McMullen community, there's the guys who come from Howard County communities. There's a lot of different communities. It's pretty neat. What we've been doing, Evan, with our guests is I've been giving them a prompt, one word, a prompt, and then I'm going to ask them to give a one-word reply, whatever comes to your mind first. Okay. So, Evan, if I say Calvert Hall, what do you say?
Cardinals.
Well done. Thanks so much. And we're here on the Ocho, 8 minutes with sophomore Peter Kelly. 8 minutes may not be enough time to talk about Peter Kelly. Peter, tell us a little overview of things you're involved with at Calvert Hall.
Yep, so I'm manager on the baseball team right now. I'm manager on JV last year and on varsity this year. I'm also involved in its academic team. We won a championship this year. And then the communications club. I love to broadcast football games, basketball games, commentating them, and doing the camera as well.
Tell me, and you're a McMullen Scholar.
Yes, sir.
So you got a very busy academic schedule.
Yes, sir.
Are there any hard academic class? I mean, you're just all easy for you. Are there any hard ones?
Yeah, AP World History. The exam's coming up, so I've been cramming for that. That's been
It's a ton of information, right? Ton of information.
Yeah, no, it's a lot.
What's AP World has? They still have the DBQs, database questions.
They do. Yeah.
What's a DBQ like?
So it's basically you start with 7 documents, and you have to weave all 7 documents into one essay, like 5-paragraph essay to argue a point. You have to cite all the documents, and we've worked on those in class. My teacher, Mr. Spook's, done a really good job of preparing us for that.
You practice. You got to practice for the AP like you practice for baseball.
Yeah, no, you definitely got to practice.
All right, managing baseball has got to be it's a lot of work, right? But it's fun too, right?
Yeah.
Do you introduce the players?
I do. Yeah. So I do public address at the stadium. When you go to a home game, you're gonna hear me over the public address. And I also play the walk-up songs for the players.
Every player has in Calvert Hall baseball. Every player has their own walk-up song.
Yeah, no, it's really a great experience for the players. They get to pick their walk-up songs.
What's your favorite walk-up song? Who's got the best walk-up song?
Well, I don't know. I've grown to love some of them, but some of them I've just played so much.
You just get tired of listening to them, right?
Yeah.
Very good, very good. Talk about its academic a little bit. There's like a Catholic League contest.
Yep.
How's that work?
So 8 schools from around the area, or I think it's 10 schools actually, but it's Calvert Hall, Loyola, and then some of the girls' schools like Mercy and Maryvale. But they all field teams. We go to a different school each month, and we compete. There's 2 games in a match, and then at the end, the top 2 teams play for the championship. So.
And we won.
Yep, we were fortunate to win this year.
We won a lot over the years. I think we have.
Bit of a controversy last year, but we've won a lot.
There was a controversial ruling. Calvert Hall got on the bad side of the controversial ruling.
Yep.
We won't say who it involved, but it involved somebody that we shouldn't talk about. But we really won a lot. So what's the trick to that team? I mean, what's the strategy for success?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people there are very smart people. They know all the answers to the questions, but getting the buzzer and knowing which time to buzz, that's a really important skill. You got to practice that a lot. You can't just go in there and you be like, no, I know all the questions. This is going to be easy, and then you find out you can't buzz in because you haven't practiced that. So that's really a skill that you got to learn.
And are the questions trivial, or are they like factual? Is it geometry? Is it all kinds of stuff?
All kinds of stuff. So go from anywhere to history to grammar to quick math. Quick math I struggle with. I can't do quick math.
That's not your thing?
No, I gotta take a second to get the number. But.
What's usually on one of those kind of teams, each guy has kind of a strength or whatever. What's your strength? What do you think is a good category for you?
I gotta say sports. I nail all the sports questions. I love when I get the sports questions because I feel really confident about that, and I feel confident in my abilities to maybe buzz a little bit earlier, so I can, because I have a bit of bigger knowledge about that. So I feel good about buzzing in early because I think I'm gonna get it right.
And not only doing the announcing for the games in terms of the lineups, you've done some of our broadcasts for Calvert Hall, the Communications Club.
I have, yeah. So I've been fortunate to do football and basketball in my first 2 years here. I'm going to work to expand. I'm going to start doing soccer games in the fall because our 2 soccer guys are leaving. They're graduating. So I'm going to need to watch a little more soccer over the summer, get some of the terms down. But I'm looking forward to that.
What do you think that? What makes a good announcer calling games? What do you think is the style? What makes it work well?
I think you have to have emotion, especially since we're calling for Calvert Hall. I think it's important to get excited when good things happen, but you also still got to keep your professionalism. You got to be respectful of when things happen, and you got to make sure that everyone gets their proper dues. Like you can't.
You got to have your goal. You have to have your good goal call, right? Like.
Yeah, no, I got to work on that over the summer.
Let's see if we can last like 30 seconds or 40 seconds.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a challenge.
And do you the thing I try to figure out when I watch TV a little bit is like you got to talk enough without talking too much. Like do you watching basketball? Do you call every pass or do you wait for the highlights? Right.
So TV and radio are a little different. So TV you can kind of let the action play out and you can kind of announce the more important things. But radio you got to be a lot more descriptive because obviously people can't see what's going on.
Sometimes, even on massive professional announcers, with baseball's a hard one. they call these fly balls like they're going out, and they're caught by the shortstop. Drives me crazy.
Yeah.
So you guys, you gotta let the game call.
You gotta kind of curb it when that situation arises. Yeah.
Get yourself out of a mix real quick.
Yeah.
You're an Orioles fan.
Yes, I am.
What do you think? The Orioles have been very successful. People are saying we've played the easiest teams, but forget that. We're winning, right?
Yeah.
What do you like about the Orioles?
They have fun, man. They got all the celebrations going. They got a lot of good guys, I think. A lot of guys that seem like they respect each other. It seem like they respect the other teams. So it's just a lot of fun to watch them every night.
Old-fashioned baseball, strong up the middle, good defense, right? Makes a difference.
Yep.
Just see last night's game we was watching. Mullins had an unbelievable catch, and the guy said the last 2 seconds he covered an amazing amount of ground.
Yeah. No.
There's a lot of fun to sports.
Yeah.
Now, something else you've had a chance to do at Calvert Hall is you've had a chance to go on one of our immersion trips. Where did you go?
So I went to Camden, New Jersey. I was fortunate enough to go with Peer Ministry. We took about 10 guys there with 2 faculty members. We went there and we got to really step into the community. We got to go to a school and help them with, stacking books up and helping them with their day-to-day activities.
Meeting the kids.
Yep. No, that was a lot of fun. We got to spend a lot of time with them.
Help out in class a little bit here and there, right?
Yeah. And then the second day, we got to go to a food bank. We help people bring food to their cars and make sure they, get enough of each food. And so that was.
So what do you? It's a very good experience, right? Powerful experience. What do you take away from an experience like that?
So when I went to Camden, I was kind of sheltered. Like I didn't really know how much people were struggling outside of this area. But when I got there, it was kind of like a slap to the face. Like, wow, people are really, getting by with this. But when I saw the people there, they were smiling all the time. I mean, they were just a ray of joy. They were all really happy to be from Camden. They were all really proud of their city. So I think that was, really eye-opening for me to see how people can be so positive.
So a very powerful takeaway is that people have a lot of challenges, but they don't let the challenges totally overtake the way they feel, right?
Yeah.
They bring their own spirit to it, their lot, and bring some joy out of the whole thing.
Yeah, no, they're all very positive. It's really, really fun to be there.
Well, you've added a lot to the conversation. I do have to say that because I feel obligated to say you're an Immaculate Heart of Mary grad.
I am.
As am I and my kids and plenty of people I know. So that's good to know, and I'm glad you came from Immaculate Heart of Mary. That short walk down to Calvert Hall.
Yep. No, it's not far.
But I'd like to close with, and thanks so much for your time. I'd like to close with, I'll give you a prompt, you give me a response. One word response. I know you could say a lot more being an announcer, but
all right.
I say Calvert Hall, you say?
Family.
Excellent. Well done. Great talk with Peter Kelly. Thanks so much. See you again on the Ocho. We're here with freshman Damon Ferguson. We're going to do the Ocho. Damon, welcome. Tell us a little bit about your freshman. Tell us a little bit what you're doing at Calvert Hall, what you're involved in so far.
I've been involved in the JV football team. I think we had a really good year. It was fun. I had fun with those guys, made a lot of good bonds. And I joined the varsity track team, and they are really cool people. I met some new people there, and I think it's a great experience to be at Calvert Hall. It's just really fun. Like, they treat me like a brother.
And you've been doing track since you were young, 8 years old maybe, and training. And what are your events?
I run the 400, 200, 4x4, and 4x2. So basically like a 400, 200, and I long jump.
And you had a great winter season, right? And you won the indoor 400-meter race, right?
Yes, sir.
National 400-meter race in New York.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about that experience. What's that like? There's a lot of runners.
Yes, it's a lot of runners. It was at first it was like kind of like nerve-wracking, but then I was like, I've been here before. It's nothing like that I couldn't handle. So like when I got there, I was like, just breathe and run how I run.
What was it? Was it a close race? Was it or did you blow them all away?
I was blowing them all the way, and then I didn't have the endurance that I needed, so they started to come back at the end. But I knew I was strong enough to hold on to the win.
So what's and 400 indoors, 400 outdoors, about the same, a little bit different?
Yes, it's harder to run an indoor because of the curves and
it's tighter.
Yeah, and it's tighter, and you don't get any like wind inside, and it's just the aerodynamics.
Different feel. Yeah. What's the strategy for the 400? What's your strategy? Do you get out early? Do you try, or is it just sprint the whole way?
I don't sprint the whole way because that wouldn't end well. But I get out like the first 100, and then I start to just open up. And then when I get to the 200, I take a breath, and then at that 225, 250 mark, I start to pick it up especially if I have an opponent in front of me, I start to pick it up to get in front of them because I want to get to the 300 first. Because if I get to the 300 first, I know that I'm confident in myself to get to finish the last 100 faster than most other people.
Is it? And you always have a sense of where you are.
Yes.
I mean, you always have a sense of where you are. I'm at the 300. I'm wherever. You kind of feel that. Do you have a big kick?
Depends on the meet. So like if it's a big meet, I start to like the adrenaline's going. So when I get to the 100, I don't get as tired, and I just start to run, and I'll be like, this is the big moment. This is the moment that I've been training for. So.
And is the 400 start? I'm sorry, I don't know this. Is it out of blocks or is it standing?
You can start out of blocks or standing.
Preference?
Blocks.
And would that give you something or?
It gives you more. It gives you a better start. When you start and you're on the blocks, you can use a lot of power instead of standing up. Even though you can use power when you stand up, it's better to use power when you're in the block.
And do you have to worry about a false start? Or is that all practice? I mean,
it's anticipation, but you don't really want to anticipate the gun because
screw up.
Yeah, and if you false start, you can get ejected from the race.
Right. Sure. Do you get a false start or not? Or is it one and done, or do you get a?
I think it's one and done.
Oh, geez, that's not the best. Tell us about the training for 400s and 200s. Are you training all the time? How's that work?
I'm trained all the time. Training is really tough. Some days it gets tough, but I know that it's only to make me better, and just gotta keep working.
And do you run? Swimmers. Right? If I talk to swimmers, they swim a ton of yards, right? Even the sprinters, to be honest with you. So would you think in a given? Are you always doing a lot of mileage, so to speak, or different days or different things?
I would say that different days is different things. So one day I may have a 400 workout. The next day I may have a sprinter or a 200 workout. I think it's different because you need speed endurance for the 400, not just endurance and not just speed.
And you'll just practice little things like starts and stuff like that?
Starts, finishes, strides, stamina, that type of stuff.
So I go out to the Ravens games and they all come out with their headphones. Do you have a headphone?
Yes.
They all come with their headphones on and they do those kind of dynamic stretches, those kind of all kinds of wild things. Do you have is there a stretching routine for runners? For sprinters?
There is, but I have my own. I like to loosen up my hips and do like certain motions to get my muscles activated.
Is that a 10-minute thing or is that an hour thing? Like how long does that take you to get warmed up?
Between 45 to an hour.
Difference between a 200 and a 400?
The 200
meters, that's the difference.
Yeah.
What's the difference in getting ready for the difference in the way the race runs?
The 200 you can more so sprint the whole thing.
Just go.
Yeah, let it go. But the 400 is more, you have to have pace and you have to have patience. Because it's not, even though you want to get somewhere fast, you can't just get there because that's not how it works.
Do you, can you psych out your opponents? Do you play mind games?
Yes, I do. I like to play mind
games. What's a reasonable mind game? Just
when they ask me like, what do I run? I always tell them like I run a slower time.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say like I run nothing fast. Yeah. And I don't want them to get like worried or nothing. Yeah. So I just say, yeah, I run like that.
Tell them you're worried about their shoes or something like that. Mm-hmm. What about the Calvert Hall track team? Pretty good.
Yes.
We'll win the championship.
Yes, of course.
And what's the key to a track team winning a championship?
We have to support each other and not try to put each other down and say like, oh, you're not as fast as me, you're slow. You got to lift them up and carry them on.
But you got to be the key to a track program, right? You got to have a little bit of everything, right? You got to have sprinters, you got to have distance guys, you got to have throwers, right? And everybody's got to. It's not a team sport, but it is a team sport. Is that right or no?
Yes, it is. I would say it's more of a team sport than just a solo sport.
More than people think, right? Meets are very long.
Yes, yes they are.
They take forever. Yeah. Right. So we're looking good for the end of the season.
Yes, we are.
Tell us a little bit about your experience transition to high school, right? How do you manage your time? You got a lot going on. Football's a pretty busy season too. You're probably lifting, all that kind of stuff. How did you work on managing your time?
I would say that when I have days where I know I have like a lot of frees, I normally do some work in those frees because I know when I get home it's not until 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I gotta still eat, maybe study, and take a shower, then get ready for school the next day. So I normally like to get work done ahead of time before, instead of like waiting to the last minute.
Do you find any particular subject difficult? What's your hardest subject, you think?
Biology.
Too much stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of things to know. Tests are hard.
Yes.
A lot of information. Mm-hmm. That's good. What are you working on in your sports, athletics, football, track going forward? What are you going to work on between now and next year?
this is a big goal, but I am working towards being the best in everything I do and not settling for second place or third.
Yeah. You know Saquon Barkley? Saquon Barkley plays for the Giants. His goal when he went to Penn State was to have every lifting record in the Penn State gym. And before he graduated, he did. Give me, I'm going to say one thing. Give me one word back. I'm going to say Calvert Hall. What do you say?
Cardinals.
Well done. That's 8 minutes with Damon Ferguson, national champion. We're here at the Ocho with Damian and Daniel Garochi. Welcome, both seniors, just days away from graduation. Tell me a little bit about peer ministry. You're involved in peer ministry. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so in peer ministry, we're just a student organization within Calvert Hall that likes to spend our time more toward the community, volunteering in various areas of the school, and headlining masses and different retreat events. But we also like going to different immersion trips outside. Like just a few months ago, a few of our classmates actually went to Montana for a retreat, just helping out a few students. Others went to Miami in spring break, and some just go around the Baltimore area helping out.
And the peer ministry ministers are actually trained, right? You do some training during the year?
So within the beginning of the year, or even before school starts, we go to a little retreat as peer ministers themselves, and we just practice little small group tips and just like how to interact with other students.
Right. I mean, so you lead retreat discussions, right? But they're not just free for alls. There's some purpose for the discussion, right? So it's just not everybody sitting around. You've been trained, you've been practicing. It really adds to the experience, retreat experience. Tell me a little bit about the Asian Students Association.
So the Asian Student Association is a club here at Calvert Hall, and it was created 3 years ago by Iggy, and there we talk about our Asian community and everything that's happening in it, and also like about our identity too within the Calvert Hall community.
And it's a kind of a social group, but also you got some informative parts to it, right? Educational parts to it. And you just recently did kind of a get together with other schools.
Yeah, so we just 2 weeks ago we had a conference at Bryn Mawr. Over 300 people came. There we talked about like stuff that's happening in our Asian community and just reflecting on things that have been happening to us throughout the years.
All right, now you guys are like you're like a team, being your twins, right? When you were in 8th grade, what were you guys? What did you guys see about Calvert Hall that kind of attracted you to Calvert Hall?
So for us, it was more that sense of brotherhood. Right when we came in, we were welcomed very nicely, and it was just very easy to jump into the community, jump into the classes. All the teachers were very interactive and just very, very open with what we had to say, despite being a guest for the day. And when we came, it was nothing to disappoint. It was all the same. And that's when we were allowed to really jump into different clubs and activities really easily, such as Pyramid, such as ASA, and everything else Calvert Hall had to offer.
Same feeling for you?
Yeah, yeah, same for me. And I just think that like the teachers here are really helpful and super kind to us when we went on our guest day, and that just really affected my decision to go here.
Yeah, and then the opportunity to interact with teachers has been a good part of your experience here.
Yes, yeah.
Right, because you get a decent number of opportunities to interact with teachers outside of the classroom, right? Skill-wise, you guys are both good students. So you came to Calvert Hall as good students. Thank goodness you're leaving as good students. We didn't mess you up, right? But what are some of the student skills you think that are developed in the Calvert Hall setting?
So for me, it's more that to be more proactive about my learning experience and just who I am as a person. Within my freshman year, I was relatively quiet, but and didn't really seek help when needed. And within one of my more difficult class, AP Human Geography, I was having a hard time, but I didn't really want to reach out to the teacher. But the teacher actually reached out to me, Mr. Book, and he spent around 3 days a week talking to me and really just going through the lectures that we already learned in class and just reviewing the material. That really boosted my confidence and boosted just my grade overall, and that's really transcended to the different sophomore, junior, and even senior year, that I can access my teachers. I have the courage to really talk to them when I'm struggling, if I have any questions, and I feel like that's a really useful tool, especially within college as well.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because sometimes the problem for students who struggle, and also for students who are very good, they're generally very good in their academics, that they think they're going to have to do it all on their own, right? So they just think they're going to, if there's a problem, they got to work it out themselves. And really the benefit is learning how to work with your teachers. And when you get to university, that even adds on, because, you're kind of really out there on your own until you find some of patterns and for helping yourself maximize your potential. Same experience for you?
Yes, but I would say time management was a big thing for me because transition from 8th grade to here at Calvert Hall is very different because we have free periods now. So by utilizing my free periods correctly, I'm able to time manage my other activities. For example, I'm doing homework or just meeting up with a teacher during my free periods instead of just leaving it for after school.
Right, balancing it all out, right? And I think over time, with the free periods, you really have the ability to modify how you do it. So some cycles you might be like a little bit more social during your free periods, and then sometimes the year you might be more, intense. And that really is a benefit of the whole system, right? Is that you can kind of create your own way of learning. All right, now next year you guys will be splitting up, all right, going different directions, not that far though. One going to Hopkins and one going to the University of Maryland College Park. What kind of topics are you looking forward to? What are you going to look to study?
So at Hopkins, I really want to go pre-med track ever since I've gotten to different bio courses and science courses at Calvert Hall. So within my capstone, I researched dementia, and that has led me to my major or interest in neuroscience at Hopkins.
It's a very, very involved major. A lot of material to learn. All right, that's good. What about yourselves?
Oh, I'm planning to study biological science and on the pre-dental track. And originally I wanted to do pre-med, but I saw all the hard work, or not the hard work, but just a lot of work you have to do. Yeah. So I decided pre-dental is the way to go.
All right, good.
It's a better path for me.
Get off to a good start. So now you're days away from graduation. What's the feeling like as you I mean, is it a bittersweet feeling? What's the feeling as you get ready for graduation?
So yeah, I would describe it as bittersweet, where I know that I'm moving on to the next part of my life where I'm going to develop a lot, but it's also kind of sad that I have to somewhat leave this area, this Calvert Hall community for a bit. But although I'll come back, I feel like I've developed so much here just as a person, as a student, and academically and just like mentally, and I feel like it's really prepared me for what I am for the next step.
Same for you.
Yeah, I would say the same. And I'm just gonna miss all our good times here, and especially some of our friends, because obviously not all of us are going to the same college. But I'm just gonna miss all the teachers too that helped me get to this point.
Well, I think that the nice thing I've found of Calvert Hall is that people do stay connected, right? And so we just had a reunion this week with the guys' 70th year since they graduated, and they still get together regularly. They still talk to each other. So I mean, that's a good thing. You've created a base to work off of that you can utilize for the rest of your life. This is a great discussion. Thanks for joining us. We'd like to be doing this with our guests. I'll give you a prompt. You give me a one word response. No right answers. We're just kind of seeing what people say. So when I say Calvert Hall, you say?
Hall, yeah.
I say Calvert Hall, you say?
Brotherhood.
Very good. Thanks so much, guys. Congratulations. I hope you have a great summer and get ready for success in college.
Thank you.
It's the Ocho, and we're doing 8 minutes with senior Colt Kearns. Colt, welcome to the show. You had a very interesting experience this year that you got to be on national television.
I did.
How'd that happen? Or what were you on?
I was on the Today Show.
Today Show, live.
Live.
And because you live in Hamden, down the city, and very famous about, everybody might not know this, what's famous about the street you live on?
So at Christmas time we light up Miracle on 34th Street.
And how lit up is it?
Very.
For example, the houses are all kind of row houses, right?
Yes.
And then what kind of stuff do people do?
So we hang lights across the street from house to house. There's an old light pole that we decorate as like a palm tree. And then on top of the business right there, at the end of the street, we have bigger decorations.
And they, people have porches. A lot of people have porches.
Yes.
And they decorate their porches. Maybe people have trains and things like this and that, all kinds of stuff. And do people come down there and visit?
Oh, people from all over the world.
When's the decorations start?
So the decorations usually start on the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Every year, and they end on January 1st.
And it's not a big wide street, right?
Not big.
So it'll be a ton of people up and down the street, right?
Oh yes.
It's a national event.
It is.
And that's how you end up on the Today Show. So what's it like being on the Today Show?
I mean, I was nervous at first. It was different. I've been on news before, but nationally. So I'm just glad that my grandfather would be there.
Okay, and he kind of started the ball rolling.
Yes.
many years ago, he's one of the driving force behind this whole event. Now, do you have to have certain skills to live on that street? I mean, you have to be able to climb ladders, hang off things and stuff?
I mean, you don't have to, but it definitely helps.
And the young guys probably get stuck with some of the tougher jobs.
I'm the only kid on my street.
You are?
Yeah.
So you're kind of the...
I get stuck with most.
You're the workman,
Yeah.
right? So when they need somebody to hang from a roof or something like that, it's probably you. That's very cool. Did they ask any tricky questions on the Today Show?
They mostly just talked to my grandfather about
Okay.
it. Yeah,
And you
my
just looked
neighbors
there and
too.
looked pretty smart and
Yep, I
intelligent.
just sat there and represented Calvert Hall.
There you go. Now, once you were on, did you get a lot of people like calling you and stuff? There's a lot of social media buzz on that.
So when I first got the first text, I was at Towson on a college visit, and my friend texted me, and I went on Instagram and checked, and I was posted on the Calvert Hall Instagram. Which is
Oh, nice, pretty nice. All right, so at Calvert Hall, besides being a good student, you're going to go to UMBC next year?
I am.
Awesome. Besides being a good student going to UMBC, you've played rugby.
I have.
Tell us a little about Calvert Hall rugby is very good this year.
Yes, we are.
Give me a feel for that.
How
good are we?
We're undefeated. We are 9-0 right now, counting MIAA and outside the conference games. Tonight's our semifinal game, and the closest game we've had has been like a 30-point game.
Everybody doesn't grow up playing rugby, right?
No.
So when you get involved in rugby, what is the, because people really love it, what's the excitement of rugby?
Well, for me, the excitement of rugby is like there's no timeouts. It never stops. Like football, we stop after every play. And rugby, it just keeps going. If the ball goes out of bounds, it stops for like a few seconds, and the line happens, and then it goes till halftime. So I just think it's just way more of a exciting game, and it never stops.
And unless you have certainly there's some big plays, but there's a lot of short runs, right?
It is.
So it's very, very physical, right? Because it's like three guys tackling one guy, getting him down, and then you're pushing against everybody, right? It's short distances, very physical. Am I right?
Yes, it's the most physical sport.
And what kind of skills? What kind of skills does a good rugby player have?
So it depends by the position. So you could either be a forward, which is numbers 1 through 8. They're like usually the bigger, tougher guys who run the short distances right into contact and make the heavier tackles. Or you could be a back, which is more finesse. So passing's more important. Speed, I would say, is more important. And they have to make like one-on-one tackles. So
What about the ball's weird?
It is.
So is it hard to pass and catch the ball?
No, not necessarily. Obviously, weather conditions make it harder to pass and catch. But as soon as you know how to it bounces
right
certain ways, it becomes way easier.
It's practice.
It's practice, basically.
What's Calvert Hall's strategies? What don't you have to give away how to win the game? But what's Calvert Hall's style? I watched the game last week on the TV, and some years guys we seem to be very fast, right? A lot of fast guys. I'm not saying we're not fast this year, but we got some big guys. So what's our strategy? We just boom down the field.
Calvert Hall is just a physical team. We're the most physical team in the MIAA, by far.
Offensively and defensively.
Offensively and defensively.
I noticed the game I watched last week, St. Joe, when they were trying to go down the line, I guess, to gain ground, they end up actually often losing ground.
Yes.
Right?
Well, we all come up as one defensive unit. We play aggressive, make good tackles.
Yeah, you can't I guess the way that game is set up, if somebody gets by you, they're gone. Oftentimes.
Pretty
right?
much. So we always have the 15 back as the last line of defense, but if they break the line, there's 3 of them. They just pass it, and it's usually a try.
Now, the rugby team had an opportunity to go to Ireland this past spring break. Was that a pretty good experience?
Oh, it was amazing. I never thought I'd ever go to Ireland, but as soon as they brought it up, that was like the turning point of why I played this year.
Yeah. And what was that? The teams were good over there?
So we played 2 teams. One team was very good.
Right.
It was a blowout, I'll say that.
Yeah.
And then the other team, we actually ended up winning.
Cool.
Yeah. It was
and
nice.
was their style similar? Were they physical? What do you think the style of the Irish kids is?
They're definitely physical. I just feel like, it's experience. They've played over there. It's like football here.
Play when they're little.
They play when they're little for 17 years. Then when they're 18, we went over there. We played U18, and it's just a whole different game. Just how they know how to move the ball and run their lines so perfect. It was just nothing we could do.
You've done well at Calvert Hall, I think. Is that a fair statement? You've liked it here. What do you think are some of the skills you've learned here? Either academic or whatever. What do you think you've picked up from the Calvert Hall mystique?
So academically, definitely become a better writer. I just want to say that because my writing was not very good, but all my English teachers have helped me. On free periods you can go and get some more help. But socially, I just feel like it's just such a great atmosphere at Calvert Hall. Like on a free period, you can go like find some of your friends in the commons, go to the caf, and you always have friends there.
Occasionally go to the library or something.
Or you can go to the library. Yeah, I usually don't. I stay. In the
Everybody's got their spots.
Everybody's got their spots.
And good teaching. I hope. Give me an example of a teacher that really was impressive to you here, Calvert.
Mr. Radeball.
What about Mr. Radeball makes it happen? He's a good referee.
He is a good referee. It's definitely his humor.
Okay.
Yeah.
He makes the class energized.
He energizes the class a lot. So like a lot of people say Mr. Bressler.
Yeah, sure.
And he's very energetic, but I just feel like Mr. Radeball brings energy and adds he still teaches the.
Gets a little humor in there too.
Yeah, he gets. Yeah. Yep.
Makes you smile. So thanks, Colt, so much for your time. I'm going to give you one last task. I'm going to say a prompt. You're going to respond in one word. If I say Calvert Hall, you say
excellence.
Great, thanks. That's 8 minutes with Colt Kearns. Great talk. Thanks for being here.
No problem.
All right, we're here for the Ocho with the Penn Relay 4x100 championship team. This is supposed to be 8 minutes. These are the fastest men on campus. This might be an 8-second interview because they're like a blur. Caden Newsom, class of 24. RJ Andrews, class of 23. Cardo Cooper, class of 23. And Antoine McNair, class of 24. All right, tell us a little bit, Cardo, tell us about the Penn Relays, because people may not know that. That's an amazing experience. Tell us about it.
It's a real fun experience.
How many people were there? I mean, how many athletes are there?
A lot. A lot of athletes there. It's multiple sections of 4x1, so it's dependent on time. So we were in the fastest section for prelims, and then it's seeded by top 9. There's multiple finals. There's top 9 is Championship America. Then it's different. It's seeded by area. So international is like all the Jamaican, Bahama teams that come down, and there's like a northeast section, and then we were in the national section.
And we won. Was it a close race?
It shouldn't have been close, but it was close.
Okay. Cade, what's the lineup when we go 4x100? Is it always the same?
Yes, it is. The first leg is Twan right there.
Okay.
Second leg is Coop.
Okay.
Third leg, RJ. Fourth leg, me.
That's the order. You're the hammer.
Yes, sir.
What is the strategy for 4x100?
Everybody got to run fast. So the first leg, when you hand the baton off, they're on the right side of the lane, and the stick is in your right hand, and you're handing it off to a person in their left hand.
And are the handoffs are difficult? Well,
No.
I mean, you practice the heck out of it.
So we get them down pat.
I mean, but you guys can do it like it's nothing. But I mean, in reality, that's not as easy as it seems.
Yes, sir.
And what about Antoine? What do you think about? You pay attention to the guys in the other teams, or are you paying attention? Or you just guys just running?
Depends. My biggest focus at first leg is, so they call it like a stagger.
Yeah.
So every lane it's a different line. So I focus on not letting the person behind me catch me, and focus on catching the person in front of me.
Yep. Just run like mad. RJ, our win, how long did that take?
Our win, so we ran about 42 seconds.
42 seconds total. We have 4. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then how does your 100 legs in a relay compare to what you would run, like just run 100s? Are they saying a little slower, or how does that work?
The splits are usually a little bit faster than like an actual time.
Is that right? Because you get a little warm up before as you hit the baton, you're already moving a little bit. Very interesting, very interesting. So you guys do the 4x200 too, or is it a different squad? Mix.
We did it indoor, but it's us 3, and it was Damon.
Okay. The indoor 100's got to be weird, right? Because
there's no indoor 100.
No, indoor 200s, right? It's just a lot of turns.
Yes.
Is it trickier?
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit, Ricardo, about the training. What kind of training have you guys done to get to this level?
Well, each day is separated out, so it'll be some days we'll lift 2 times a week.
What kind of lifting are you doing?
Just like power lifts.
Serious weight?
Yeah, sometimes.
For you, what's serious weight?
I'm not gonna say that.
Okay. All right. 45. No, but you're not just lifting, like, it's not about reps, it's about weight, right? All right, what else?
Then we'll have one day of the week we'll have a hard workout. It's like just for our stamina, running long.
And what is that a ton of sprints, or what do you do?
It's just running longer distance.
Okay. And then if the meet's tomorrow, what are you doing today?
We'll have our pre-meet, so we'll do our regular stretch, and then we'll go onto the curve to a straightaway, just run 50 meters with shoes on, spikes, and like that.
That's it. Keep it simple. Yeah. You got to be prepared. I mean, you can't be overtrained, right?
Yes.
RJ, do you guys? I wonder. I'm watching the guy over here eating like a meatball sub. Do you guys worry about what you eat?
So me personally, I don't. my diet is not the best, but you know, thankfully since I'm an athlete, my metabolism, you know, it's all
Right.
good. So,
But some people are more into the, carboing up the day before and all kinds of different. I'm sure there's a lot of Antoine. Do people have a lot of like kind of like secret plans for how they get ready? You know, like some people like eat certain foods, some people don't eat, some people don't sleep or sleep, whatever.
I don't really, but most people probably do.
Have some sort of like kind of routine that they built into. All right, Ricardo, you play football here also. Going to Maryland to play football.
Yeah.
What are you preparing for as you go to Maryland?
For Maryland, with track, it's just keep my speed.
Do you run track there, do you think?
I don't know.
Let's see.
But for Maryland, keep my speed because I'm on the smaller side of everybody.
Yeah.
So if me going there with my speed is going to help me out.
And what's your football game? I mean, you're a receiver, but are you the guy who blows down the field? Or are you the guy who goes across the middle? What's your game?
Well, it's all new to me. I'm not really a receiver, but
Okay, what do you think you are?
I'm actually a DB.
Okay. But you're versatile.
Yes.
All right. Caden, how long have you been doing track? Since you were a kid or no?
No, this is actually my first year. Well,
Really?
I ran 1 year in middle school, but this is my first year.
Of real training.
Yes, sir.
And what other sports have you done?
Football.
And would you say training for track is harder than training for football or just different?
No, well, it definitely is different because all you're doing is running. But I would say training for football is way harder because you gotta train more muscles and you gotta be like for track. You really just gotta be fast and have stamina. For football, you gotta be fast. Every part your body has to be strong because you gotta prepare for the contact and all that.
RJ, going to Fairleigh Dickinson, right? Tell us a little bit about what you're going to run track there.
yes.
What are you looking at Fairleigh Dickinson? Are they good, or what's the level there?
So they're a D1 school. They're doing pretty good, and I'm hoping I can go up there, up and win the championship, up and go to nationals.
Yeah.
Right now they're trying to develop. So
Right.
they're bringing in a bunch of freshmen.
Okay.
Hopefully I will be a big part of it.
And what do you think you would major in? Do you have a thought?
I'm going to major in computer science.
Oh, nice. That's a good hard subject. Give you something to balance out the athletics.
Yeah.
You also do some long jumping.
Yeah.
Tell us about long. That's an interesting sport. Tell us about long jumping.
It's very technical. Like Keaton said earlier, first 3 steps, you want to push out, focus on covering ground. And then when you get close to the board, you want to focus on stepping down so you get more power.
How long is the run up?
It depends. Most of the time, people do 8 steps. I do 9.
Okay.
Like
You're counting steps, right?
Yes.
And then you just give it all, whatever,
Yeah.
and hope you don't land back on your hands. Right? That's not a good thing.
I don't know.
All right, Ricardo, tell us a little about your Calvert. You speak for your. We don't have a lot of time. Tell us a little about your Calvert Hall experience. What do you learn out of being on the track program, going to Calvert Hall? What are you getting out of it?
Well, being at Calvert Hall, we're at multiple invitationals. So throughout the year, we're traveling heavy. We just came a couple weeks ago. We came from Georgia.
So you get a lot of experience.
Yes.
But what long-term skills do you get? Do you think? I mean, what do you take out of it? You had a good experience.
Yeah.
So what do you get out of that experience? What do you think?
This is good experience with my teammates.
Yeah. The team thing does make a difference, right? Even for track.
Yes.
All right. Appreciate your time. Appreciate what you do for Calvert Hall. It's really interesting stuff that you've made this contribution. You're gonna speak for the 4 of you guys because you're the hammer anyhow, right? You're the anchor. I'm gonna give you a prompt and you're gonna give us one word response. So I say Calvert Hall. What do you say?
Cardinals.
Thanks, guys. That was great. I'd have you run, but I don't want to mess up your training. All right, thanks, guys. Well done. Thank you. It's the 8th annual All Day, and we're here with the Ocho. 8 minutes with guys from CHC TV. David Soden on my far right, a junior. Cam Harris, a junior. And Matthias Pridgeon, a sophomore. So welcome, guys, to the show. We're going to do 8 minutes. We'll start with Cam. Cam, CHC TV, we're in the studio. Tell us how the studio works every day and who does what.
So it's a lot of technology inside and out of the booth. Inside the booth, we have teleprompters for the guys that read the announcements to read from, but a lot of the credit can go to our guys from behind the scenes who work with the volume and the camera cuts. It's definitely a lot of fun, and it takes a lot of practice to become well at it. And
So Cam, so you've got somebody over there going, ready one,
Yeah.
take one, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty good stuff. And David, you do a little special show each week?
I do player of the week for guys who have had great highlights and great showings in their last games.
Matthias, the teleprompter, is it hard to work with?
Well, when I first started, it was a little bit unusual, but over time I've gotten used
You
to
become
it.
natural to it?
Yeah. I've
When
gotten
you're filming, who do you look at? Do you look at the cameras? Do you look through the set? Where do you look?
pretty much right at the teleprompter. They blow up the words nice and big, and it's right into the camera.
And do the guys behind the screen there, do they ever like speed up the teleprompter on purpose to try and mess with you?
Well, they're not supposed to, but I'd be lying if I would say it's never happened.
Oh, very good, very good. Cam, this is a full service studio, right? We even have a green screen.
Yeah.
Tell me about green screens.
So with the green screen, we usually use it for our weatherman who's on the announcements every Wednesday. We'll put a picture, the guys behind the studio will put a picture up and he'll be pointing, and it's just like a regular news show. It's really fun.
Now, do any of you guys have an interest in maybe going into broadcasting later on in life, or is it just something you're having fun with too?
I do.
Yeah.
Actually, I plan on attending, possibly, hopefully, Morehouse and going to their sports media broadcasting major there.
Morehouse, great school. You know, I think the key for a lot of guys is clearly practice, right? So you start at the beginning, work your way up, right? Do the little things, do the behind the scene things. Matthias, let's switch gears a little bit. You were involved in the Addams Family show. Tell me a little bit about your involvement.
Sure. Well, I was the lead student set director, so I helped Mr. Chester build the sets. We did a little bit of designing, painting, working with wood. We built some pretty cool set pieces and helped move.
It was a pretty big set, right?
It was. Yeah, it was definitely the biggest I've worked on in my 2 years. Yeah.
And do you have construction skills? You learn construction skills, and what did you process of going through all that?
Well, sure. So first thing is we have to make a lot of measurements and a lot of really boring math, and after that we start cutting with saws and assembling, and eventually towards the end, once it's all put together, we start painting and detailing.
And then once the show goes on, you guys are the guys moving the sets and things like that.
That's exactly right.
And I went to the show. It was great. It's the set movement is very much in the dark. Is that a difficult task?
Well, one thing that's kind of neat is we have all sorts of glowing tape on the ground, and that's our sort of guideline. But other than that, we're all just elegantly stumbling.
Very good, very good. The biggest, I noticed it's really hard when they move the bed pieces.
Yes, it's much heavier than you
the mattress or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
Cam, you come from OLPH, pretty far away?
Yeah, Elegant City.
Elegant City. So how do you get to school? You walk every day to Calvert Hall?
No, I take the bus here every day.
And how did you pick Calvert Hall?
I picked Calvert Hall. My brother went here, and
what year was he?
He was 2019.
Give him his props, Eric, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I would come to events, and it just seemed like a very good community and school I wanted to attend.
David, how did you pick Calvert Hall?
Coming for the football program, first I was here. Coach Davis had recruited me years before, but I knew Coach Ward from Concordia Prep.
Okay. And you're a quarterback?
I wish.
What are you? What's your football position?
In football, I played left tackle.
Okay. Oh, very good, very good. And you're also a rugby player.
I do.
Rugby, very interesting sport, in my opinion.
Yes, it
Did
is.
you ever play rugby? When did you start playing rugby?
I picked up rugby my freshman year after I went for tennis a little bit, but it didn't work out so well, and a lot of the guys just recruited me to play rugby here.
Tell me how's rugby work? What's the strategy of rugby?
So for rugby, a lot of it, unlike football, it's a lot of quick moving parts. The more that you slow down in rugby, the worse your offense is, and the more that the other team.
You got to keep moving.
You got to keep moving.
But it's a lot of. You can get some big runs in rugby, but it's a lot of short runs and it's pretty intense tackling, right?
It is.
And your position, you probably get a fair amount of tackles.
Yeah, I have to. I'm sitting right next to all the big forwards. I have to come up and make a lot of big hits.
One of the most interesting parts of the game, I don't completely understand the game, I find it fascinating, is the lineouts. So tell us about lineout. Do you lift guys? Tell us about the lineout.
So lineouts is almost just like soccer, where when it goes out of bounds, they overhead throw the ball in. But in rugby, we lift the guys to try and get them up.
Because the other team can do the same, right? You kind of but you're sort of aiming to your own guys.
No, so there's a channel where you have to throw it straight down the middle, or the ref will call it not straight, giving the other team the ball.
And then what makes a good lift guy? You can get him pretty darn high.
Yeah, you gotta have a lot of have a lot of strength in the arms.
All right. Talk to us a little bit about the scrums.
So scrum downs are where all 8 of the forwards come down, and the scrum half, or like the 9 half,
Yeah.
he rolls the ball into the middle, and the hooker, or the guy who kicks the ball to the back, so the scrum half can get the ball out of the scrum.
And is that that whole scrum thing, is that pretty physical?
It's a little physical, depending on if it's a good bind up or not.
Yeah, yeah. All right, good. That's good. Very interesting. Rugby's having a great season. Cam, tell us a little bit about your academic experience at Calvert Hall. What have you learned your skill-wise? Where do you study? I hope you're not in the dining hall all day long, but if it's the truth, it's the truth. Go ahead.
My academic career at Calvert Hall has been very successful, mostly due to the teachers. I find that they always want to help you. You can come to them with any question. I'm in the National Honor Society, so that gives me a chance to also help guys and mentor them. I tutor every cycle in the ARC, but yeah.
But what are you're a busy guy, you come from far away. What's your strategies for balancing all your work and stuff?
Definitely using my free periods throughout the day, so like you said, not spending it all in the dining hall. Making sure that when I have problems, I go talk to my teachers.
And what's a good place for you to study?
A good place for me to study, probably the library.
Right. Matthias, you're also in the yearbook and the newspaper. Tell us about some of that work, because that's a lot of work.
It is, and it's a very long, multi-step process. We all start out with planning and idea generating, and then we all have to go to writing, editing, and even formatting at the very end. So it takes a lot of people.
So it's a lot of time involved, things like that.
Yeah, and a lot of different skills. You get communication skills between each other, writing skills, of course, and I've even picked up some photography skills.
Awesome, that's great. Guys, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much. I'm going to finish up. We're doing a little thing with the Ocho. I'm going to give you a prompt. You're going to give a one-word response. So whatever one word hits you, this has not been coached. Calvert Hall.
Brotherhood.
Calvert Hall.
Inclusive.
Calvert Hall.
Diversity.
All right, well done, man. This is wrapping up the Ocho with some great Calvert Hall students down in the CHC TV studio. Have a good one. It's another edition of the Ocho. We're here with Peter Budarazzi, rising senior. We're going to do 8 minutes with Peter. Peter, 8 minutes may not be enough, but we're limited. We're limited.
Yeah, I understand.
Tell us about your Calvert Hall experience, things you've been involved in since you've been here.
Well, since I've been here, I've been part of student government, freshman class president, junior class president. I've also run cross country for the past 2 years, and I'm on the varsity golf team.
Okay, and you're a McMullen scholar.
I am a McMullen.
Right? You're also a not scholar.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very impressive. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Talk to us a little bit about McMullen Scholar. You haven't gotten all the way through this yet, but tell us about the Capstone Project.
So Capstone Project, really big project that all of our guys work on. We pick
for senior year.
Senior year.
Right.
Anything, we can pick anything. For me, I was looking at like renewable energy, like thinking about how I could incorporate that into a project. Just an idea board right now, nothing specific.
Okay. Student government is a great thing to do for your classmates or with your classmates. You're going to be student body president next year. You were elected student body president. You have to represent 1,100 men. Actually, next year will be 1,200 men. So tell me, what are your thoughts going into that?
Well, the theme that we've picked for next year is Boundless Brotherhood. So trying to work the brotherhood, bring us together more congruently. I don't know, a good word for that.
Do you have any? Do you have any anything you can reveal? Any plans, or is it just?
There is one plan. Don't quote me on this, but I want to bring back chariot races. We're gonna try to make it happen.
That would be classic. Yeah, we've had some very interesting contests over the years at Calvert Hall. That would be a good one. So that's good stuff. Tell us a little bit about the golf team. What's going on with that?
Right now we are 6-3. We actually have a match today
against
MSJ.
Okay.
Going to Roland Road.
Yep.
But we're third in the division right now. We're trying to get first or second so we can get that home field advantage.
All right. When you're playing, it's 2 Calvert Hall guys, 2 from the other team.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you're playing kind of match play, right?
Yeah, match play.
So tell us how that works.
So it's 12 holes match play. There's a front 6 and a back 6. Point system's really weird. If you win the front 6, you get a point. Win the back 6, you get a point. Win the overall, you get a point, just for yourself. And then there's a team point that's a best ball, if you know what that is. So like, out of the 2 of you, if you beat the other team's best 2 scores, then you win.
Wow.
And then there are 3 matches going on at once, so it's all pretty common.
And then would you say is there some what's the strategies? Is there some psychological games
There
going on?
is a bit of psychological game, and actually in our last match we had some of that going on. Like guys will mess with you in the backswing, you know, try to get you off guard or like talk to you before you hit a shot.
And
So
people having weird conversations about clubs. You know, I don't know if you're allowed
Did you
to.
hit the
I hit a
7?
6. I
Yeah.
hit the 7. What would you hit here?
Exactly.
You know, you're 12
Yeah.
feet out. You look at the kid from the other team. You say, I think I'm going to hit a driver or something.
Yeah.
To kind of
Yeah.
throw them off a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's not the same as playing stroke play, right?
No,
I mean, it's
not
it's
at
a
all.
different
Not at
game,
all.
right?
Completely different.
And then you're not allowed to be coached during the match. Coach rides in the back, can't coach.
He can coach on the course, can't coach on the green.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right. Very, very complicated stuff. Tell us when you came to visit Calvert Hall, and what was your sense, or how did you find Calvert Hall?
Yeah, so I actually missed the open house. I didn't hear about Calvert Hall until 7th grade. I always thought I was going to go to Delaney. But I missed the open house. But my friend was a buddy of Mr. Parisi, and he asked if I could get a tour. So I got a tour with Mr. Parisi, saw the whole school one day, and I really liked it. And eventually we were kind of worried about money, but with McMullen, I was able to come here, and it's been great.
So tell me, if you know, as the student body president, you will be the face of Calvert Hall to some extent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So give us a couple thoughts on, in your experience here, what defines Calvert Hall? What are the adjectives we should be using when we talk about Calvert Hall?
I think the biggest one is probably community. It's probably the biggest adjective, because I talked about this when the freshmen came in, 3 months ago during the acceptance. But we talked about how our guys are going to be willing to lift anybody up, like when they're down, and I think that's really huge for Calvert Hall.
All right, you're a good student, but it's a lot of things. I mean, do you find any class particularly hard?
Oh yeah, calculus. That one is tough. BC is.
So what did you take your first year?
I took Algebra 2, Honors Algebra 2 with Mr. Brown.
Okay, and then you took Honors Geometry.
Honors Pre-Calc.
Pre-Calc class.
Yeah.
And then you took Calc this year.
Yep.
And are you in the AB or the BC?
BC.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. No,
So are you guys preparing for the exam, right?
Right now we're preparing. Yeah.
I'm a math guy, so I have a little calc background.
Mm-hmm.
What do you find to be the crazy topics in calculus?
The craziest topics are probably finding the area under a curve with integrals, but then the curve becomes three-dimensional.
Solids of revolution. They call
that's the most difficult one.
Solids of revolution is kind of interesting stuff. My favorite or my unfavorite topic is I don't know if you guys do this at BC anymore. The volumes with known cross sections.
Yep.
So what they do is they take they tell you something looks like a triangle, and then they want you to collect, or they tell you the cross section's a triangle. They want you to collect the triangles, right? The hardest thing about those is I can kind of do that, but I can never imagine what the picture looks like, right? Because you're collecting these triangles and the picture is like a Tootsie Roll. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand that one at all. How many APs are you taking this year?
I'm taking 3 AP classes, but I'm going to take 5 exams.
What exams are you taking?
First one I have is tomorrow. It's A push, and then I have
AP US.
AP US.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And then I've got calculus, Lang, Spanish, and physics.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Now, you're doing English language, which is more about writing, right?
Yep.
So people historically say that if you're a good thinker, good worker, whatever, you can probably do English language.
Yeah, that's what we've said. I mean, it's not a lot of preparation, but if you're able to read and like understand,
right? You don't have to have a lot of. You don't have to have particular books. That. It's not like literature.
Yeah.
Spanish is supposed to be pretty hard.
Very.
Yeah, because interesting thing about APs is they're not all designed equally. They don't all score equally, right? So Spanish is a hard one, and scores harder than some of the other ones.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. It's one of the ones that I'm prepping the most for.
And what about AP US? Good course?
I love the course. Mr. Miz is great.
Good guy. And a lot of preparation, right?
Yeah, preparing to 5.
You have to for APs, not only have to know the course material, you got to kind of know how the test works, right?
Yeah, you've got to understand how to write DBQs, LEQs.
Talk about LEQ.
An LEQ is a long essay question, and basically they give you a prompt, and you have to use your own knowledge to write and answer this prompt with a strong thesis and basically like a 5-paragraph essay.
And truthfully, they give you like a rubric for scoring.
Yeah.
And the more you can keep your brain focused on the rubric,
the more
right?
you know the rubric, the easier it is.
Because you want to show your knowledge, but you also want to kind of contour to what they're looking for, right?
Exactly.
Yep. No, that's really good stuff. Well, you've got a lot going on. How do you balance it all out? And how many brothers and sisters?
Oh, I've got 7 siblings.
Yeah.
I'm the oldest of 7.
You're
One
the
sister,
oldest, and you supervise them all.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I try.
Yeah.
But
so how do you balance all that out?
It's tough. I've tried scheduling. I'm not very good with the planner. Somehow it just works out.
Do you stay up late?
Yeah, especially this week.
And how do you use your unscheduled periods here?
My unscheduled periods, I'm spending it all studying, pretty much. I'm watching Heimler's history videos for A-Push or getting some calc homework done, whatever I can do.
Well, that's a great interview. You're doing a lot, making a big contribution to Calvert Hall. Greatly appreciated. Just finish with one thing. I'll give you a prompt. Give me a one-word response. Now, you're a smart guy. One word. You can't do a sentence.
Got it.
Calvert Hall.
Family.
That's 8 minutes with Peter Budarazzi. See you on the next Ocho. Welcome back to the Ocho. We're here for 8 minutes with Nick Shepard. Nick, tell us a little bit about what you do at Calvert Hall. You're a senior.
Yes, I am.
Tell us about your Calvert Hall experience right now. What are you doing?
I'm in the theater program, the Hallman Chorus, the Corridors, which is a subset of Hallman Chorus, doing a cappella songs, the Liturgy Band, Model United Nations, and Peer Ministry.
So you have been recognized for your vocal skills, correct?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yes, I'm a bass, so I'm the lowest of the ranges, and I applied for the All-State Maryland Chorus, which is very difficult to get into. And through my work with Dr. Wilkerson, I was able to get in, and so for a weekend, I stayed down in Baltimore with the best chorus in Maryland and performed with them.
And Dr. Wilkerson is a vocal director, right?
Yes.
Okay. And yeah, you have to go through a series. You have to audition for the All-State Chorus. You have to participate. What do you have to do?
Yeah, the audition is very stressful. You have to do sight reading, which is like they give you music and you just have to know how to sing it.
Right.
And then you sing prepared pieces that they give you beforehand.
And they hope you can count, right?
Right.
That's
Yes.
key, right? You
Yeah.
can do the one ends and the two ends, right?
Right.
What about? Tell me a little bit about the Hallman, because I think there's probably a lot. People don't realize the amount of practice that goes to build an ensemble like that.
Yeah, the Hallman meets every day except one, so it's an actual class. And then we compete several times a year. This year we went down to Disney and competed with the band. We got a superior rating, which is the highest you can get.
How many guys are in that group? Like the full group?
We have about 30.
And so how many different, I don't even know what to say, vocal ranges is that, like kind of thing?
Yeah, it's split into 4, basses, baritones, tenor 1s, and tenor 2s. And every once in a while people will change around, but usually it stays like
And
that.
my limited guitar knowledge, right? Everybody's not singing the same stuff,
Correct.
right? So
Yes.
that's the excitement of it, right?
Yes.
But that takes a lot of practice, right?
It does. It definitely does.
And what brings it together? I mean, what's the feeling when that music comes together well?
Yeah, I think everyone feels it when everything's put into place.
You can sense it.
Yeah, you can sense it.
What kind of stuff do the Hallmen sing? I mean, what's your repertoire?
We sing a lot of classical, so we experiment with different languages. We're singing a French song right now, Latin song, and then every once in a while we'll do something a little bit more poppy, but most of the time it's classical music.
So like an opera singer, you don't really need to know the French or the Latin, you just got to come up with the sounds.
Right, yeah.
I'm not going to ask you to translate, right?
Thank you.
Talk to me a little bit about the Model United Nations. I think that's a really cool thing that people may not know about.
Yeah, so I'm the Secretary General of Model United Nations, which is kind of like being the president. This year we hosted Hallmonk, and it was our 3rd time hosting it, which is a conference that schools from all over the state came and competed at.
Give us a general feel, like, what's the setup of Model United Nations? Who does what to where, whatever?
Yes, usually it's a room of about 20 people. We train our guys to be chairs, which means that they sit in front of the room, they're in control. They delegate to the delegates.
And the different groups are talking about some sort of international policy?
Yeah, a lot of it is international policy, like climate crisis, stuff like that.
Yeah, give me a typical question. Kind of thing, just roughly.
Yeah, a common topic is water scarcity. So
Okay.
like, how do we solve the problem of water running out? You know?
So the students working at tables try to come up with some sort of concrete solutions?
Usually concrete solutions.
You have to know something, but you don't have to be experts.
Yeah.
Or how's that work?
You have a lot of time to research beforehand.
So you know the question ahead of time a little bit.
You will, yeah.
Yep. And then how's it figured out? How do people get at the end? Teams or kids get awards or recognized?
Yes, the best delegate of each room will get award, and then proceeding downwards.
It's a pretty interesting experience.
It is. It's definitely fun.
And again, another one of those things where you got to, the more you practice it, the more you work with it, the more you can kind of get into and understand it.
Yes.
No, that's good. It's growing at Calvert, I think.
Definitely.
Any sense how many guys do it?
I want to say it's around 40.
Oh wow, that's awesome. And now you've also been in the theater program at Calvert.
Yes, I have.
So for overall 4 years.
Correct.
All right. So what shows have you been in?
Freshman year was a little thrown off, but sophomore year I was in The Adventures of Sherwood and 12 Angry Men,
Okay.
which was a lot of fun. Junior year was actually 12 Angry Men. I mistook that. Junior year was 12 Angry Men.
Yeah.
Sophomore year I was actually on the tech crew, so I learned a lot about
Okay,
building sets
okay.
and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then junior year was also music band, this year we did Ladies Man, which is a French comedy, and The Addams Family.
And The Addams Family, you were Gomez.
Correct.
It's a good part.
Yeah,
Did you enjoy the part?
Definitely, it was very fun.
I thought the show was really excellent. Went well. I
Thank
mean, great acting, singing, the whole thing, and good set too, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, now tell us a little bit about that theater experience of all the different parts that go into theater.
Yeah, it's definitely a satisfying process because it's all very gradual, and you get to see the people that you're growing next to come up at the same time that you are, and it's a lot of.
Give our guests a sense of all the different jobs that are going on, in the theater process.
Yeah. So there's lighting tech, there's sound tech, there's tech, which is when you're just building things. We had people do the fog machines, stuff like that.
Yeah, the pit band.
Oh yeah, pit band. They were really good.
Yeah. How hard is this sing and act at the same time?
It's pretty difficult. You get used to it, but at first it's exhausting.
Now, you're graduating. Congratulations on your graduation. You're going to University of Virginia.
Yes, that's right.
What's your interest going forward?
I'll be going into architecture, actually. So a little bit different from what I've been doing here.
Okay. And you're a McMullen student?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and you have a capstone?
Yes.
What's your capstone? What are you doing for your capstone?
My capstone is about organic architecture and sustainability in construction. And for that, I'm actually building a bench that's going to go on the Calvert Hall campus.
So tell me a little bit about what's organic architecture?
Yeah, it's like a subset. It's very niche, but it revolves around the idea that you build in cohesion with the environment instead of trying to fight it.
So can you give me an example of how that might work?
Yeah, architecture.
A versus B,
right, yeah. Like modern architecture, you'll like clear like a set of trees and you'll put a building there.
Right.
Organic architecture, you build around the trees.
Okay. So it's kind of funny down the street from Calvert Hall, the Baltimore County has a library. It's a sub branch now. Loch Raven. It's built back in the woods, built maybe in the 70s, and got lots of awards because it was built in the woods, as opposed to being on a strip mall. Right. So it's the same kind of stuff, right? Kind of incorporating the architecture into the environment, so to speak.
Yes, definitely.
It's got to be a hard major. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes.
Have you done any research, or how did you come to this? Just came to you, or whatever?
Yeah, I had an internship with another Calvert Hall grad, and I learned a lot about the process. It was very interesting.
Oh, that's very interesting. Talk about your 4 years at Calvert Hall overall. What would you say your experience has been?
Very positive. A lot of growing. I remember my brother went here, and so I thought I was going to follow a very similar path.
And your father.
And my father, yes. I thought I was going to follow a very similar path to my brother. I ended up not. And I'm really happy about that. I found my own way going forward, and the community definitely helped me out a lot.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, the Calvert Hall is made up of the contributions of individuals, so we appreciate the contribution you've made to the legacy of Calvert Hall. So I've been asking our guests, I give them a prompt, ask them for a one-word response. Now, sometimes the more intelligent guys, they want to give me a paragraph response. Just looking for one word. All right, Nick, I say Calvert Hall. What do you say?
Pride.
Awesome. Great. Love having you on the show. That's 8 minutes with Nick Shepard. We're taking a break from our interviews on the Ocho for a little fun. We've got Luke, athletically prepared, going against Sean, always academic all the time. They're going to go on a little competition here for the right to oppose the legend, Mr. Radeball. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
On your mark. Get set. Go!
Luke's the winner.
Athletically prepared.
Now round two.
On your mark. Get set. Go!
think you'll notice I competed fairly and won like I rightfully should. Thank you all. Thank you.
Doesn't look like that.
Matt, congratulations on the big win.
Thank you.
He got off to a great start. I thought on the turn, it was kind of even, and I thought he had you when he got to the quick steps, but you just brought it. Where did it come from?
Well, I gotta tell you, it comes from the joy of knowing all the people are giving for all day. I was a little bit behind, and then I thought about all the donations that people are making, and I was like, well, gosh darn it, I gotta hustle.
Well,
and so
you brought it. The gifts are coming in, but you brought the energy, and yeah, he'll learn, right? He'll come back next time. He'll prepare a little bit more, and maybe next time, or maybe not the next time. A couple times down the road, he might get you. But
a couple times down the road,
right.
There, his form on the curls wasn't ideal, but yeah.
And I just want to make one clarity. You're a nationally approved, sanctioned referee calling some of the biggest lacrosse games in the country. Some people might have thought there was some sort of foul on the backside. I saw nothing. What did you have?
I had nothing.
Clean all the way through.
I got straight line, so I couldn't really tell.
No, but I think it was clean. I think he may have fouled, but you let it go and played through it, so it's great.
Well, I mean, that's what you want in an event like this. You want the players to decide.
Yeah, fair play. All right, well, why don't you do a shout out thanking our donors, and thanks for being here today. Big win.
It's a joy being here. Thank you to everyone for donating to All Day Hall Day. Any amount helps, and we thank you all for your support.
Welcome back to the Ocho. Sitting here with Brett Meadows. We're going to do 8 minutes together. Brett's got a really big tech background, so I'm going to have to start. We're going to do this in order. I'm going to start with things I understand and work up to things I don't understand. So let's start, Brett, about your daily commute to Calvert Hall. I mean, literally live practically across the street.
Yeah, I wish. Right now I live pretty far down like Calvert County area, so it's an hour and a half one way, 3 hours round trip. It's a lot of gas, but I really love
no
Calvert
walking.
Hall.
There's no walking?
No walking.
No
walking. Well, walking from the street to Calvert Hall, but I really love the school, so it's worth it for me.
Awesome. What time do you get up in the morning?
6 a.m. Yeah, sometimes 5:30 if I got to be here early.
Okay.
So yeah.
Not the worst.
Not the
a long
worst,
commute.
but yeah.
Not the worst. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. At Calvert Hall, you've been involved in a lot of stuff. You're a junior. Speech and debate, that's been a pretty good experience for you?
Oh yes, I joined the speech and debate club freshman year. It was where I found like my first friends at Calvert Hall. It was a ton of fun, debating topics, talking about topics that are interesting to me, learning about politics in the world and all of that. Yeah.
Did you have a speaker background in middle school?
Not really. It was something I kind of jumped in not knowing anything about, and I very quickly learned the ropes. Dr. Susko, who's our moderator, is great and basically taught me everything.
And so the speech and debate competitions, there are a lot of different types of competition, whatever.
Yep.
You're doing more of a extemporaneous speaking.
Yes.
Right? So give us a sense of how that works, because it's a very difficult task.
Yeah, so we go in completely blind. They give us a topic, and we have 30 minutes to research as much as we can about it, and kind of formulate how we think we're gonna talk about it in our minds. Then we have to go into a room with the 3 judges. We get no notes, no references, and we just have to give a speech based off what we learned from our prep period.
And how long is your speech?
7 minutes. Yeah.
And you can't be over. I mean, you can't go to 25 minutes.
They give you like a couple seconds grace period, but no, it has
so you
to
gotta
be
come
directly
in.
7. Yeah.
So that's part of the process too, right?
Yep.
So if I remember this well, it's never my field, but I know a little bit about it. Openers and closers are important.
Oh yes.
So do you have some standard opening techniques you use?
I like to reference TV shows, media, things like that, to get
pop culture kind of thing.
pop culture to give a good hook and transition in the subject.
Then a thesis.
Yep. Then
and
a
like,
thesis.
just like an essay.
Yeah, basically
Couple
just like an essay, except you have 30 minutes to make it.
And what's the killer closing?
I try to loop it back to what I started at,
Sure.
used at the start, and that kind of makes it all, wraps it up nicely.
Give us an example, and it's a ton of practice, right?
Yep.
I mean, you can't really do those 7 minutes unless you've been doing them, right?
Yeah,
really,
you gotta. It's a lot of practice.
Yeah. What about give us a sense of what a topic might be.
One example topic that I did recently was about a big events at the Oscars. So I talked about different advertisements that are shown, different things that celebrities did, and you kind of have to make an argument for what you think the biggest event was. Now, I know nothing about the Oscars, so in that 30 minutes, I had to research quite a bit. Yeah.
And then you're also you have to cite your sources.
Yes, you do.
And you also, I would think you have to be careful for scoring purposes, not to be so caught up in the citation that you're not adding your own own
Exactly.
sense of it, right?
Yeah.
You got to like bring up, just like doing an English paper,
Yep.
bring it in and bring it out,
Yep.
right?
Quick references.
Quick reference, interpret it, move on.
Yep.
That's good. And competitions go through rounds.
Yeah, so we have usually 3 rounds and then a final round. This year I was able to qualify for the national championship, which was huge. And so I'm looking forward to that.
Where's that?
It's going to be in Kentucky. Yes.
Okay, and when is that? June-ish?
It's going to be Memorial Day weekend, I believe.
Oh, cool. Now, extra preparation. I mean, are you always prepping for that a little bit? Kind of.
Always, yeah. Looking at the news, current events, and saving things, organizing them. All that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Now we're almost out of my talent level, right? Because you're also very much involved in technology, cyber stuff. For
Yes,
example.
cybersecurity.
Talk about the cybersecurity club.
We have a really cool cybersecurity club. Mr. Melnick, who is our mentor and alumni at Calvert Hall, runs it. He's the best in the country at what he does. He teaches us all kinds of awesome stuff about hacking and computers.
But
and
this is professional stop hacking as opposed to
Yes,
unprofessional.
this is the good hacking.
Good
Yes.
hacking, right? Helping people how to learn to protect their systems.
Exactly.
So and you work in program and code a little bit, right?
Yes, program code, managing computers, IT, all of that kind of
Talk
stuff.
about there's some contests, right?
There is.
How are those contests arranged? What's your goal? How's it
So
work?
we do the Air Force competition, the Cyber Patriot. It's 6 hours on a weekend. We get together with our team members in the Cyber Club, and we just go 6 hours straight. We get a little test computer, and there's a bunch of issues with it that we got to fix.
And you've got like some are simple, some are medium, whatever.
Yeah, some are very easy, and some of them are really involved.
Yeah, just things like like for me on my phone would be have I upgraded the system lately?
Yes,
You know,
yeah, that is one of the
Right.
questions. Yeah,
And then, but the harder ones are more complicated.
yes, harder ones are getting into the
Are they hard to figure out and
all
stuff?
that kind of stuff. They are hard to figure out. They require a lot of background knowledge of how the computer works.
And this is probably what you would major in college, kind of something along
That's
these
what I'm
lines?
looking forward to. Yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting stuff. And the cyber thing has grown. Cybersecurity group has grown at Calvert
Oh,
Hall.
yes, it's grown
great to
quite
have
a
Mr.
bit.
Mellendick around.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
As
Yeah,
an alum pitching back in. Let's keep going to stuff I don't understand. You're also kind of an entrepreneur. You're in the invention business, right?
Yes, yeah.
Talk about what you're working on.
So last year for cyber, I began working on a project using wireless signals coming from phones, watches, laptops, that kind of thing to determine how many people are in a room. So I use a device like this, and we have custom code that's put on it. And basically, I use this code to look for signals coming off of phones, Apple Watches, things like that, and use different math algorithms to figure out how many people are around the device.
What are some of the what's your next steps with this?
Hopefully implementing it to things like colleges where it could be quite useful. You know, imagine like finals week, you're trying to find a place to study. It'd be a good reference to see like, oh, there's this many people in the library or this many people in this area.
It sort of reminds me of a lot different, but when you go to the airport now, they have lights where there's parking spaces that are
Yes.
available and not. So same thing, you could see like library, 200 spaces left. Or,
Yeah,
you know, that'd be
that
kinda
but
handy.
for people basically.
And how do you have this coming back? How do you get the read off of this? Is it coming to a graphical interface or
Yeah,
what?
so it's all hooked up to the internet, and then we have various servers that are running, and basically it just sends it off through the internet to the server. The server does a bunch of processing, and we get the raw number.
It's at this point, it's basically working, right?
Yes.
I mean, so what are your next steps?
Try marketing it to colleges and other people that could use it.
What about enhancements? What's the need for enhancements?
Enhancements, well, right now it's only kind of just getting like a general number. The number
Okay.
is very approximate.
Okay,
so
okay.
Refining that more is definitely the current goal.
Oh, cool,
Yeah.
cool. And you have to worry about things like I worry about every day. Is it work for my iPhone? Does it work for my Android? I mean,
Yes.
that causes problems too, I
Yeah,
guess.
getting cross-platform. Our client apps working on different.
And then one of the other future things got to be reacting to upgrades, right?
Oh yeah.
They do an upgrade, messes you up.
Yep. The hard part is upgrading this when it's everywhere. So you have to figure out how to push updates down to them, and that's what I'm working on now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's been great talking to you. Good luck with that.
Thank
Good
you.
luck with your as you move up towards college and the cyber and the National Extemporaneous Speech thing is going to be
Yes.
a great event.
Yes.
So hopefully that goes well. I know that's not easy. So that's awesome. So we've that's 8 minutes with Brett. Let me just finish up with my closing question though. I'm going to give you a prompt and you just give me a one-word response. Don't go 5 words, just one. Okay. You don't get any time to prep.
Gotcha.
Calvert Hall.
Community.
Thanks, Brett. That's us for the Ocho. It's the 8th annual all-day hall day, and this is the Ocho. 8 minutes with Michael Bell. Welcome, Michael.
Thanks,
Michael, great to have you here. You're a junior. Yeah. Right? You've come to Calvert Hall from Cardinal Sheehan. Right? You've been involved in a lot of stuff. Give us a little sense of things you've done since your 3 years here.
Yep, so like you mentioned, attended Cardinal Sheehan from pre-K all the way to 8th grade. When I got here as a freshman, I joined the Communications Club, which deals with broadcasting all the athletic events. I joined CSG TV. That helps with airing the morning announcements. So that's a little bit. And then I joined the football team, made varsity sophomore year.
Right or wrong, if I say Michael Bell, well known inside Calvert Hall community.
True.
You're a popular guy, people know you. But interestingly, you're more than that because you are in some ways the official face and voice of Calvert Hall. You've been on the radio promoting Calvert Hall, right?
Yes.
What did you do for us?
I've done a lot of pitches. I did the voice for the commercial that's aired everywhere, really. With iHeartRadio, did a couple pitches there. So. And
I think you're in some of our print ads, right? Also.
Yes.
So you've been in Baltimore Magazine and probably a couple other places we put it. So do you get any people reaching back out to you and say, "Hey, I saw you in Baltimore Magazine," or "I heard you on iHeartRadio"?
Yeah, a lot of family and friends, they've seen my picture in the magazine, so they always congratulate me with that.
That's good fun, right?
Yeah.
That's good. And you've been a hardworking student while you're here. As a matter of fact, as we're speaking, we're a little bit ahead of all day. You'll be taking the advanced placement U.S. history test tomorrow.
Yes, definitely excited.
How you feeling?
Good. It's been a long preparation. We've been preparing ever since the beginning of the school year, so happy to put all that knowledge.
What's the key to being scoring that test?
Well, it's really AP file directions. As long as you know what to do and the rules, and you can't be afraid of what you don't know, but trust what
you gotta know. You gotta know some history.
Yeah.
But you also got, it's kind of like going to court. You gotta answer the question that's asked, right?
For sure.
So if you stay on target and you make a good decision about pick a side, you got a chance, right?
Yeah.
How much work have you done for that class all year? A lot.
A lot. Yeah. We've practiced a lot of the formats that'll be in the A-push test almost every other class.
Give us a sense of some of the other classes you take as a junior.
I take physics. I'm in honors. I take honors British literature. I take principles of marketing. I take honors Spanish 3. Just a little bit of that.
Okay. Well, you got a lot going on. How do you, with a lot of the activities you're in, how do you manage all your homework and stuff? Because Calvert Hall is still a place where there's some homework.
Yep.
How do you manage it?
How I manage it, reaching out to the teachers is a very important thing. Paying attention well in class, going to the ARC, using the resources that Calvert Hall gives us to keep our grades up, studying before practice and after practice. So, yeah.
One of the activities you're involved in is football. I think it's an activity you like. Last year had a difficult time because you had injury. Talk to us about that injury last year, and give us what you did your first couple years football-wise.
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, I made varsity football team sophomore year. Didn't really play as much, so after that season, I really wanted to prepare hard in the off season to go into my junior season. But first scrimmage of the season, went out for a catch and broke my collarbone, so basically put me out for the whole season really. So I just only had school to focus on. So this off season right now, just been recovering from that and working really hard to have a great senior season.
And so you're on the comeback trail.
Yeah.
So how did you, because you're a motivated guy, how did you deal with that being not able to play, right? And you still got a lot of other responsibilities. So how were you able to deal with that?
Well, one thing I did was turn a negative into a positive. Even though I was out with football, I still had a lot more time now to focus on my grades, which was the most important thing. Taking help from people, taking advice from my mom, other family members, just keeping like a positive spirit, talking to classmates, just being around the team. So, yeah.
People, and so you're working your butt off now to get ready for next season, but people probably don't realize sometimes how much work that all the teams, football too in particular, do outside, in between seasons. Talk a little bit about the preparation that's going on even now for next season.
Yeah, so it's a big commitment. We actually started off-season workouts about 3 weeks, I would say, after Turkey Bowl. So coming right back from winter break, we started workouts early January, and we're moving now to working out almost every day of the week. So it's a lot of preparation.
Lifting some heavy weights.
For sure, yeah, and a lot of conditioning.
What kind of weights can you move? Just between. You can jack it up a little bit for TV, but what can you push?
Well, coming off collarbone,
it's hard.
Bench isn't a little bit too much. I'm getting back up there with that, but squat around like 400.
Okay.
I can do.
And as a receiver, are you more of a inside runner, route runner, or can you run the whole tree? What do you like?
I can, but I would say I'm more primary in the slot, inside, shifty guy.
And you don't mind taking a little hit along the way?
Nah, I got to.
Yeah. Okay, very good. That's good stuff. So, well, good luck with that. That's a tough situation to be in, but you do learn by passing through.
For sure.
I see you got that tie on. Calvert Hall has a lot of traditions. Tell us a little about that tie and where it came from and how it fits the tradition at Calvert Hall.
Yeah, so this is my sophomore tie for the class of 2024. Every sophomore that comes into Calvert Hall, they get their own class sophomore tie, and each tie is different and it's catered to each class. No other class has its
it's
tie.
designed for the class, right? So freshman year we have a thing called the beginning. Guys get LaSalle pins, right?
Yeah,
Sophomore year we have the tie-in. They get the Calvert Hall tie. Junior year the ring ceremony. Of course, senior year graduation. So there's a kind of an event tied to each year, which is kind of neat.
For sure.
Going on to college, what are you thinking? Which your direction going to be?
So I want to get into like mass communications and media and journalism.
Sports?
Yeah, sports writing, newspaper articles.
So are you going to be like, are you okay criticizing the home team?
For sure, yeah.
Right, so you'll be okay when guys are staring you down and you're saying, hey, this guy's not as good as advertised or something like that?
Yeah, you can't take sides in sports writing, sports talking. So
you just got to call it.
Call it.
Now, do you have any favorite shows you watch? I mean, I watch PTI. Do you have any shows you like, whatever?
First Take, Around the Horn, love Good Morning Football, Nate Burleson.
Now, Around the Horn's the one where they buzz people off?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
They shut guys out. They keep points for people. I don't know how those points are awarded, but they keep points there.
Yeah.
Your time at Calvert Hall, what are some of the student skills you've learned here? What do you think? What's the Calvert Hall program done for you?
Well, it's definitely prepared me for college. I've talked to a lot of guys that went on to college at Calvert Hall, and they say that in some cases, Calvert Hall is more difficult than college. So I definitely think the independence part is one. Calvert Hall puts a lot of independence on the students, so they have to take a lot more responsibility. Just like little things like writing, preparing us for college. So
and balancing your time out, right?
For sure, yeah.
Exactly. So, Michael, it's a great conversation with you. You've done a lot of different things. You still got another year to go to do a few more things to make a contribution to Calvert Hall. I've been asking guests to give them a prompt and ask for a one-word response. So, Michael Bell, if I say Calvert Hall, what do you say?
Brotherhood.
That's 8 minutes with Michael Bell. See you again on the Ocho. Here we are on the Ocho with Mason Wilt and Zach Huber, two juniors. Going to talk about a number of topics. We'll start out with Model United Nations. Zach, tell us a little bit about how a conference comes into place, the teams, the questions, etc. Go ahead.
So a conference will start with all the delegates coming together. Usually at the beginning of a day, if you're visiting another school or if you're coming to Hallmark here, you'll be met with a speaker that will address some sort of issue or some sort of informational speech just to get the delegates prepped for the day.
Provide some overview, some real educational piece, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, and then do we all discuss the same question from there and go break out, or what happens next?
So after that, conferences will get together and delegates will go to either selected rooms, lecture halls, based on really where the school you're visiting, and they will begin their conferences there.
And on a particular country, say Canada, is all the Canada representatives from Calvert Hall, or the schools get mixed?
It honestly it does vary by schools. Ones that I've gone to, mostly they were just split up completely.
Okay.
But a lot of times you'll see people from different schools being able to work together in different conferences, and that allows for more easy past resolutions.
And Mason, you're a well-played program. You're trying, if you represent Canada, you're literally trying to represent Canada's interest or Canada's background. You're not just trying to make up your own answer that has nothing to do with Canada.
Yeah, like as the delegate there, you're not representing what you personally would want to see. You're representing what you think Canada would expect to see happen at the conference.
And clearly, in a given game, Mason, everybody will have different backgrounds. So some guys will have more experience, more knowledge. Other people will be less. So some people will be more knowledge based, and some people might be more argue based, right?
Yeah, some guys walk in there and they have completely studied the entire topic already. They know everything about their country. Other guys just kind of looked over it the night before and are more focused on just using their arguing skills to kind of get their way to the top.
So then resolutions are presented, and theoretically we try to form like Survivor, we try to form coalitions, right? And then we try to get things passed, right? That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah. usually you're trying to create your resolutions, so you kind of effectively win the conference.
Right.
That's
And then you, as a voter, you're also taking into account when Zach speaks. Does Zach kind of have a real that you think Zach really has done a great job of arguing for his country, or Zach's got a lot of background, or is Zach just a good arguer? And that's part of what goes into your decisions, I guess.
Yeah, if I like his argument and I think it's going to support what my country would like, I would agree with his resolution and even try and co-sign it or sponsor it.
Now, Zach, at the end of a particular situation like that, it could be a resolution that doesn't even get passed.
Yeah, absolutely. Based on your public speaking skills and your ability to work with other people in the conference, you may or may not see a lot of successes with resolutions. I personally tend to be a little bit more successful because I'm willing to go and talk to people and reach out to them in the conferences. It's all about public speaking. It's all about being willing to talk to your
And then when Calvert Hall hosts a conference called Hall Monk, right? Then we're not as much participants as we're the people who actually run the whole show, right?
Absolutely.
And what would you do when you're running it? What are you trying to do?
So when we run it, we will act as chairs. So we will actually run the conferences that take place and manage things like incoming requests and resolutions and things like that. And we also have our crisis team that sits in the background for crisis conferences. They will manage crisis notes, which effectively create disasters and chaos for the conferences going on in order to make them interesting and push the conference towards.
And those crises are kind of randomly thrown out, or some way that you guys have thought of how to throw them in there.
Absolutely.
So give me an example of a crisis type thing.
So at this most recent Hall Monk, I co-chaired the Peloponnesian War Conference, and we had our crisis team write up a few things, like we provoked the Spartans into attacking Athens, and we also introduced Persia at the end of the conference.
So it changed it, right? As the day goes on, you got to change what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Very, very interesting. All right, Mason, what are in the whole package? What are the skills that a person who does Model UN walks out of at the end of the day? What do you think kind of you pick out of it?
For me personally, when I walked in, I didn't really have good public speaking skills. That was very easily the biggest thing you're going to walk out of with. And being able to just kind of argue in general, it's definitely what's going to help.
And also learn just to strike up communication with people, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very good. All right, you guys are involved in some other things. Let's talk about that a little bit. Mason, you play tennis, but you're also involved in squash. Calvert Hall squash for a number of years now. Tell us a little about squash and how it works.
So squash is similar to tennis. You play in a room, and what you're trying to do is you're using a tiny rubber ball, maybe the size of a golf ball, with kind of a tennis racket, and you're trying to keep hitting it towards the front wall. So on one bounce, and the other opponent is just doing the same thing. You just keep going back and forth until one of you misses.
And is it big hard serves that win? Is it tricky shots that win? Is it, I don't know, is it psychology that wins? What wins games?
Usually it's the consistency that wins games. Just being able to outlast your opponent and just keep him always moving, tire him out, that's usually what's going to win the game.
Is it a pretty tiresome game?
It can be. It can be very tiresome.
And
As it gets more advanced, players
the better you play, right? Long volleys, whatever. How's a match set up?
So at Calvert Hall, we play 7 matches. It's 1-on-1, and whoever wins best of 7, so 4 out of 3.
And when you play a particular singles opponent, what's your match against him? How many games do you play? Whatever.
So you play first to 11 points.
Okay.
And it's best of 5 of that.
Best of 5. So that could get. Can that be lengthy? I guess if you're both good players.
Weirdly enough, it can also be incredibly short.
Really?
We play games like as short as 20 minutes.
Oh, that's amazing. And did you ever play before you came to Calvert Hall?
No, never.
So do you find your skills growing?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
All right, very good. Zach, you're in rugby?
Yes.
Tell me a little about your rugby experience at Calvert Hall.
So I just started this year as a junior. My brother has always been doing it pretty much for as long as I can remember. He was in high school. But I honestly fell in love with the sport after trying out this year. I decided not to do the spring show for theater and instead decided to move on to rugby. And I felt like just being able to go and work out with the team before the season has really helped me improve physically and getting to know
What are the rugby skills?
So rugby skills include ball handling. You're going to need a lot of strength in your triceps in order to pass and effectively move. It also takes a lot of confidence to go into contact and hit people, especially without the pads that football provides. But most importantly, I feel like it's a lot of teamwork, especially for rugby. In a football sense, you're really just following play calls and just going based off of what the quarterback tells you to do. But in rugby, you really need to be cooperating all the time. You need to listen
it's kind of reactionary, right? I mean, plays kind of are dynamic. They happen like right in front of you, right? You're not
Absolutely.
calling plays. You see an opening, you take it. Your teammate understands what that means and plays off of that.
Yeah, it's much closer to soccer where it's always going,
It's always
moving.
flowing.
When football is very start-stop, rugby, you always need to be communicating and working together to keep moving forward.
Mason, you're a good student. Give me an academic skill you've learned at Calvert Hall, or you think you've enhanced or whatever while you're here.
Definitely the ability to study. Like that's not something I really ever tried to do in middle school, but once I got here, I could definitely see the importance of it, and it's definitely
Makes a difference.
It does.
Zach, tell me something you've learned in your time here at Calvert Hall that's kind of improved yourself as a student.
I think something majorly important that I learned was reaching out to classmates and teachers for help. That's something that I didn't do a lot in middle school, especially because I didn't talk to as many people. But being close to a lot of my classmates, it's helped me to reach out to people who are going through the same homework and the same work in order to just receive help and learn the concepts I need.
Absolutely. Working with one another makes a big difference. All right, last thing, guys. Thanks so much for your time. I'm going to give you a prompt. I'm going to ask you to respond in one word. There's no right or wrong answer. Mason, I say Calvert Hall, you say?
academics.
I say Calvert Hall, you say?
Brother.
All right, that's 8 minutes with Mason and Zach. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Welcome to another episode of the Ocho. 8 minutes with senior Tommy Hogarth.
Hello.
Tommy, welcome. You've done a lot of things at Calvert Hall. Let's touch on a couple of them. Tell me a little bit about your experience with peer ministry.
So with peer ministry, I joined peer ministry like this year. This is my first year like as an official peer minister. But basically all of my friends they joined around sophomore junior year and they love the program. And I've seen the peer I've seen the program through retreats and stuff like that, and I remember my first freshman retreat. I was like, whoa, this is really cool because all these people here were just to help me. I was like, I want to do something like this. But then I really forgot about sophomore and junior year, and then I remember all my friends were they were just enjoying it so much. I'm like, all right, I want to join this. So I applied and I got in.
So tell me a little bit about peer ministry. Works inside of campus ministry, does a bunch of things, but helps out on retreats. So tell us how peer ministry would help out on a retreat.
So I'll talk about the junior retreat. So as a peer minister, I have to give a talk to the entire retreat group going, and it's about a different topic.
Kind of a testimonial.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
But then we also lead small groups where it's me and around 8 to 10 guys. We talk about the retreat and how it's going.
And you guys have trained up on it a little bit too, right?
Yeah.
It's not just everybody sitting around talking.
Oh, yeah,
You've been trained on how to talk to groups of people, and then you meet with the group, and
yeah,
it's a fulfilling experience.
Yeah, because we have 2 retreats in the summer and the winter, and that's when we are trained on to lead these small groups.
Oh, that's very good, very good. You've also been a member of the music program, right? You're a percussionist.
Yes.
What? Tell me a little bit of your percussion. I mean, what do you percuss?
Well, so I play the drums obviously as part of percussion, but I also play the marimba and the bell set, which are so the marimba is a giant xylophone basically.
Jacked up xylophone.
Exactly, and it has the same keys as a piano, so I can play melodic stuff on the marimba that I'm not allowed to on the drums.
Your drum's not playing a lot of melody.
Yeah, no, it's just beats.
But the marimba, you can get some crazy stuff on the marimba. I mean, how about the hammers? What do you call them?
Mallets.
The mallets. A lot of guys, you play 2 mallets at once and stuff. What can you do? Can you do 4 mallets at once? What's hard?
I can do 4 mallets at once, just not to the top caliber, but I can do it.
And the trick is you have to keep them equally spaced, or
yeah, it's all in the fingers and in how they're spaced.
A ton of practice.
Tons of practice.
Well, drums is a ton of practice.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you also play drum set.
Mm-hmm.
You practice in your house.
I do, and my
your mom likes that.
Sometimes.
Your mom doesn't sit in with you. She does a drum or something like that.
No.
Yeah. So, but you just came to drum and you did in grade school. What?
Yeah. So I started to drum in 4th grade because there was a band at my school, so I joined. And then I think around 7th grade I started to take lessons on a drum set. So and then once I started to take lessons, I was like, this is really cool. So I got my own drum set and I started to play that a ton. And that kind of what inspired me to get involved at the in the band program at Calvert Hall.
So the drum set, you've got the bass drum, right, playing with your foot, maybe, right. You've got your snare or whatever, and then you've got your got your symbols, etc. How do you're doing all three things at once? How do you do that?
So the main thing is like you can't focus on like one thing. You try to focus at like the task at hand. So focus on like the beat that's like that you're trying to make. And if you focus on like one thing, then you're gonna forget about like something else. So you have to like think about it like as a broad picture.
Gotcha. Competition marching band, interesting thing at Calvert Hall. Talk a little bit about how that works and what you guys do and how much practice goes into it.
So in the summer, it becomes a full-time job where we're here for 2 weeks before school starts from 9 to 5. But during that time, like we had a show which we get perfect, like everything. So this year we had around 40 guys, and we all like.
And the show has like some sort of artistic theme or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this year the theme was like Knights of the Round Table and King Arthur. So like the show like what we play kind of like relates to that theme, but we also go all like around the field, and like the shapes that we create with our bodies also like relate like to like the Knights of the Round Table and all that.
And you go to competitions, get adjudicated, and all that kind of stuff. So, ton of practice.
Tons of practice.
So if you have an event at Saturday night at 8, you're at Calvert Hall in the daytime practicing all day long before you go to it, right?
Yeah, because so we try to get to events. I'd say around 4 hours, not 4 hours, around like 2 hours in like advance. So if an event would be at 8, our report time would probably be like 10 a.m. So we can practice some here, then like eat, drive there, and then have some more practice at the like scene of the event.
Wow. And you served as the drum major.
I did.
So
yeah.
you're the guy. Tell them what the drum major does and how you do it.
So basically, I'm the one who's conducting, and like I give the time to the people in the band, and the time's important because it like gets them like to play together, but it also tells them like on like how like their steps should be, so like all their steps like are together, so we can like create these forms at the right time in unison. So I'm up there conducting, I like wave my hands around, and all of them are like their eyes are on me and watching my hands. So I can't mess up and I can't be wrong because then everyone else is wrong.
That's a lot of responsibility.
It
But
is.
if you wanted to, you could move your hands as fast as you want and kind of drive them crazy.
Yeah,
Right?
good.
That's nice. That's nice. Now the band every other year goes to Disney. You've been on a Disney trip.
Yeah.
You just went this year.
Yep.
Talk about the Disney trip.
So I really, the last time I went to Disney was second grade, so I didn't know anything about it. But going with the band just blew me away, especially like the amount of like, basically planning that like, went into it. I had like no idea like until I saw like wow, like this is crazy. And then like we were like allowed like to like march in the like Magic Kingdom, which was really cool, just being able like to march and like wave like as a drum major. And then we had a competition like also in Disney where we came in first place for like all of our events.
Oh, nice.
Including jazz band and choir.
So it's a fun time, but you guys are working too.
Exactly.
All right, you're also a Boy Scout.
I am.
Eagle Scout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just became Eagle Scout. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Talk about your scouting experience.
So basically, I've been a scout since I was 11, so for around like 7 to 8 years now. And basically, what I like really enjoyed about scouts was that I've gone like all over like America, and without scouts, I like wouldn't have that opportunity. Cause like so most recently over the summer, I went to this camp called Sea Base, which is in Key West. And, like I like was on a boat for weeks, sailing around and fishing, and I loved it, and it was really fun.
Talk about your Eagle project.
So for my project, I like revamped my church's pantry because like the shelves there were kind of bad. So I installed these brand new shelves.
You didn't just clean the shelves off. What did you do?
No. So like
I tore out the old ones.
Yeah. So I tore out the old shelves and I installed like brand new shelves, which I was able like to install there. And in total it was around 8 shelves. And then I was able, because I had so much like funds left over, because my goal was around $600, but I raised $2,500.
Because you went up and spoke to the parish and asked
Yes.
people to help out, which they did.
Yes, they did. I think you did as well.
I did.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good work. Came out well.
It did. So and then I bought a bunch of food to stock those shelves too that I like installed
That's
in the
awesome.
pantry.
Well, those are great 8 minutes. I wish we could do more. But Tommy, just to finish up, I'm going to give you a prompt. All right. I'd like to get your response. Just one word. I say Calvert Hall. What do you say, Tommy?
Friends.
All right. That's 8 minutes with Tommy Hogarth. Thanks, Tommy. We'll see you again.
Thank you.
On the Ocho. We're here with another episode of the Ocho. 8 minutes with Josh Nagy and Gabe Gleekin, 2 members of our national championship soccer team, 24-0-1. Calvert Hall, great legacy of soccer. This team is one of the best of all time. Gabe, tell us a little bit how the season went.
I mean, the season went great. You know, you can't ask for more than an undefeated season in the championship. So,
But it wasn't a smooth ride the whole way. Where were the bumps in the road?
you know, a couple of times we played John Carroll. They came out. They were ready to play us, but we still came out on top. You know.
2 tough games, right? And then the championship was against John Carroll.
Championship.
What was the John Carroll strategy against Calvert Hall? Were they packing it in? Were they shooting and running? What were they doing?
They were just coming at us. You know, they were pressing hard. They were sending everything they got at us. But I honestly thought we had more skill as a team, and that's why I think we pulled through.
Cool. Josh, one of the big games we went to Ohio to play again, a national championship level team. Tell me about that game a little bit.
Yeah, so we had to go away, play St. Ignatius in Ohio.
One of the top teams in the country.
Yeah, they were undefeated at home for like 5 years, so we knew it would be a big challenge for us.
What was their style?
Their style, I mean, they have a lot of talent. So
rough and tough, maybe.
Yeah, no, I mean they just played a good, like fundamental soccer as a team.
So it doesn't start out well for Calvert Hall. We go down 2-0 first half.
Yeah.
I don't know what people are feeling, but the fans at home are going like, oh, 2-0, not looking good. Then right before the half, we get a goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we get a goal going into half, gave us a lot of momentum and confidence again, just to know that we're still in the game, we have a chance. At the back as a center back, I feel like I led very well, same with all of our other defenders and Nate and goal, and we just made sure that we had confidence to beat the team.
So halftime, Coach Rich, the other coaches, give some sort of magic of oranges for all the kids, just like Rack Right, and then we come back a second half, different story.
Mm-hmm.
What happens in the second half?
Yeah, we just started playing our game. We weren't really focused on what they were doing. We were, obviously knocking the ball around well as a team, getting the ball down the line to our wingers to cross it in. We were able to just, finish the ball, and I think just as a team, we were just too much for them.
We scored 3 goals in the second half, and we just
Yep.
win the game walking away.
Yep. And yeah, it was a great game just to come home. We still had a season ahead of us, and that was just a great game to give us.
Put us on the map a little bit.
Yeah.
So I've been very fortunate to be around Calvert Hall soccer a long time, seen a lot of great teams, a lot of hallmarks of Calvert Hall soccer. One of which is great defense. Gabe, talk about the defense.
Defense was awesome. I mean, just going into every tackle, full on. I mean, having Nagy to my left was always a bit of a help because I knew I had somebody covering my back. And, Nate and goal was Nate, Ben, Dylan, the whole back line, I think, just did.
Everybody covering for one another.
Everybody covering for one another. Nobody wanted to give up any goals. And, I mean, that's something we did. I mean, what did we give up? 8-9 goals all year.
Yeah.
So,
Josh, Joe Baker's personal opinion, put together one of the best center back performances season-wide in Calvert Hall history, in my opinion. You're incredibly physical, you don't foul. What are you thinking when you're back there?
I'm just trying to get in my opponent's head in a way. So, a lot of times with the strikers, I'll try to just break them down. And I don't really let them get a lot of time on the ball. So as soon as they go to receive it, I'm always just right there on their back. And I think that just kind of takes away, a lot of their confidence to shoot the ball, pass the ball, takes away their game completely.
And I noticed when you make a good stop, you occasionally share a word with your opponent here and there.
Yeah, and that's just how
that's part of the mental game.
Yeah, that's just part of the mental game. And yeah, that's just what
but
I do.
But truthfully, as physical as you are, how is it you don't foul? You just.
I mean, yeah, it's just about making the right plays, making sure that I'm, fundamentally sound and I'm not, overdoing it. I can't get a card and, put my team down. So, I make sure that I'm to myself and just, playing the game how it should be.
Gabe, let's stay with soccer for a second. Let's talk about that championship game because that was not an easy game. Give it a little overflow of that game.
No, I mean, we go down 1-0 early from a big mistake, and I mean, nothing happened for the rest of the game. I can't speak.
Big catastrophic mistake.
Catastrophic
mistake. Go ahead.
But, it didn't end up terribly. I mean, I can tell you by the end of that second half, I had to come off for about 2 minutes. My legs were dying. I had a salt packet and just went right back on. I mean, the whole team was fired up once we scored that first goal, and led it into overtime for the second year. And
so in overtime, I mean, that was a battle royale, right? The whole game was a battle. They both sides, a well played game. Talk about the winning goal in overtime. Amazing play, I think.
I mean, just to have the same thing happen 2 years in a row is just it's ridiculous, especially with Richie finishing both of them. I mean, you couldn't all the energy I had from that had been depleted from me the whole game came right back into my system once he scored that goal, and it was an awesome experience to be there.
Can you recall the play?
Yeah, Richie gets across, and then he obviously like shakes his defender, scores the ball, and you know we have guys all over the field who can finish the ball. So every game it's usually a new guy, but Richie steps up and just obviously made a big play.
Interesting thing about the team, I think, is lots of individual players making strong individual contributions, but really it's about team play, right?
Yeah.
I mean, soccer's about team play, Gabe. What do you think?
100%. I mean, I think, you know, just playing together as a team. I mean, everybody loved each other. Like we were a unit. Nobody was really arguing. It was a great season because we had the same goals.
Even down 1-0, thinking like this might happen, everybody's still pulling for the team.
Exactly.
All right, let's talk about some other things at school. Gabe, tell us a little bit about being an admissions ambassador.
Well, first semester it was it was a little tough getting to school every morning, 7:30, but 30-minute drive, but I mean it was really fun. You know, got to meet all the new incoming freshmen and talk to their parents and just get to know everybody a little bit.
Share what's important about Calvert Hall. What do you think are some highlights about Calvert Hall you would share with incoming freshmen?
Oh, well, I mean, everybody loves the dining hall food when they first come in.
Yeah.
That's one of them. But I think just being in the classes and all the teachers really get to know you and they want to help you out. So just whether it was this year, I know Mr. Radaball in government for me. Anytime I needed help with something, he would help me out. And
That's excellent. Josh, you're also an outstanding student, National Honor Society, and in addition, a member of the very contributing member of the varsity lacrosse team. Right? Mm-hmm. You're coming to school every day from Westminster.
Yep.
That's a lot of sacrifices. How did you decide to make that sacrifice in 8th grade and come to Calvert Hall?
Yeah, coming to Calvert Hall, I just saw the brotherhood, and I knew that it would allow me to, push myself academically and athletically. Great lacrosse team, great soccer team, great teachers, and I knew that it would set me up to, go to a great college, and I'm very thankful for that.
And you're set to go to Navy next year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Gabe, you're set for Salisbury.
Yes, I am.
All right, are you going to play a little soccer?
I am.
They have a good team, I think.
They do.
Right? That's good. So we're in the middle of getting ready for exams, but graduation's right around the corner.
It is.
So congratulations on graduation, but also congratulations on the contributions you've made to Calvert Hall. Because Calvert Hall is the sum of the contributions people make. So thanks so much. We've been asking our guests to do a one-word response. I'll give you a prompt. You give me a response. Okay? I'll start with you, Josh, and then go to you, Gabe. Josh, I say Calvert Hall. What do you say?
Brotherhood.
Gabe, I say Calvert Hall. What do you say?
I say team.
All right, very good. All right, that's 8 minutes with two of the best. We're going to do 8 minutes with Mason Natero, senior. All right, looking to go to Towson State University next year. Full disclosure, Mason is my honors pre-calculus class, so any questions about honors pre-calculus may involve his grade. All right, Mason, welcome. Mason, you have a legacy at Calvert Hall. You had some relatives who went to Calvert Hall previously.
So my dad went to Calvert Hall, my uncle went to Calvert Hall, and my grandfather went to Calvert
So
Hall.
we would call that third generation. So that's pretty good. That's a good part of the Calvert Hall experience. You've done a number of things. Good student, work hard. You've been part of the football program. Talk about your football career a little bit here at Calvert Hall.
Football career started when I was a sophomore in COVID year, and then I kind of just really fell in love with the game and all the people that were involved.
In your position?
I'm a long snapper.
So long snapper is a specialty position. I mean, with the Ravens, with Tucker, the three, right? The snapper, the holder, and the kicker, right?
Yep.
That's a tricky position, right?
It is. It's hard to learn.
How much practice? How much learning does it take?
It's a lot. It would be during the season. It would be probably 5 hours a week, almost at least half practice every day.
And the hard. I mean, I don't know. My opinion, the hard part is you got to snap at that distance. But you can't. It can't be random, right? It's got to go right to the guy. I mean, is that just practice or?
It's practice. It's just a lot of practice, really.
And what about? But then you have a job to do right after you snap the ball. What's the role of the long snapper once he snaps the ball?
So sometimes I'll have a blocking assignment. Other times it'll just be I get off the ball, go down the field, and try to be the first one to contact the receiver.
Now I know there's rules to protect the long snapper, but I'm sure that those rules aren't perfectly enforced or whatever.
No.
So there's got to be a certain fear factor in being the long snapper. How did you work your way through that?
Yeah, it's rough sometimes. People hit you, obviously illegal. You just got to work through it, and then you got to give yourself that feared presence almost.
So you gotta get past that, right? You can't start. The anxiety would just affect the snaps.
Yeah, no, it really affects it. You got to just lock in, forget about everything else. It's not that one.
People love sports, being part of the games, very exciting. Especially at the level that Calvert Hall plays, there's a lot a lot of under the hood, right? Talk a little about the under the hood with the football team, getting ready for the games, etc.
I mean, we're all like such a good family. We're all so close, and like we all hang out outside of football, so we have that bond already. And then like on game days, like we can be all friends having fun one day, and then game day, it's like we're all locked in. Like we know we're going into this together, and we're gonna fight till the end. And of course, always try to get the win.
Give us a little sense of all the different elements of preparation that you guys are doing during the practice days.
It's a lot. So we go through like we'll do uppers, we'll do
We're lifting.
pads, and then we lift probably once a week during the season. Off season, we lift like 3 or 4 times a week.
And we're watching film.
Watching film, absolutely.
I mean, this isn't the Ravens, but it's not unlike the Ravens, right?
Absolutely not. Especially here, it's such a good experience.
Talk about your student experience at Calvert Hall in terms of academics. How do you how's that all work? How's the schedule work? How did you balance your time? How did that all play for you compared to middle school, maybe?
Yeah, compared to middle school, really. I mean, I came in here like kind of looking for a challenge, and I didn't challenge myself too hard to the point where I can like really enjoy the high school experience and Calvert Hall as a whole. But I definitely take difficult classes. I spend time studying, do my homework, all that. But I also have plenty of time to be with my friends, have a job, work,
But
and have fun in school.
it's about establishing a balance, though, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's just like
because you're taking some hard classes, AP Economics, the honors pre-calc, etc. And in Calvert Hall, there's some amount of there's definitely some homework. There's definitely some things to get done outside the classroom.
Yeah, but the good thing is like we have so many free periods every day, especially as you get older and go through your classes in Calvert Hall.
So you have to learn how to maximize that.
Free periods, yeah. Whether I'm spending them in ARC or in the CAF, like just gotta learn how to get my work done while I'm also.
The no bells, the no hall passes really allows you to build better relationships with your classmates, right?
Yep, and your teachers as well.
Right.
Just gain some mutual respect.
And get to know them on a different level than just in the classroom, right?
Yeah.
How do you think, as you're getting ready to go to college, how do you think, without getting there yet, how do you think you've been prepared, or how's that look? Are you looking forward to college?
I feel like I've been prepared great, especially like lectures and everything, being in that environment. And then everyone I talk to that's graduated Calvert Hall already, they say like it's such a breeze compared to public school education. It's just like you know how to pace yourself and you know how to keep yourself going and balance. So having that skill already is like something that you don't need to learn in your first 2 semesters of college, I think. And I think it'll translate great.
And you're interested in maybe doing business, finance in college. That
Yep.
in preparation for that, you're taking the advanced placement in economics. Right now, we're a little bit ahead of the all-day holiday in terms of taping, but you've taken one of the tests so far.
Yep, one.
The other test this afternoon, maybe?
Yep, today at 12.
Tell me about that economics class a little bit. Hard, medium, what do you think?
It's hard, but it's a great class, and Mr. Bressler is like one of the best teachers I've ever had.
And you learn some good stuff.
You learn so much, and it'll be really helpful for my career.
How mathematical is it? Is it mathematical memorization? What do you think it is?
There's a lot of formulas that you kind of got to remember, but they come easily because they're not difficult formulas at all. And then it's some math, but it's also like a lot of common sense as well.
I always had trouble with supply-demand curves when you move the lines.
Yeah, I know.
And that's not easy, right? You got to learn how to do it.
You have to learn, and it's just practice.
Let's talk a little bit about honors pre-calc. It's clearly one of the best classes in the school. But you're a math kind of background. Tell me a little bit about how you see math, what you like about math, how you look forward to it, that kind of thing.
Math to me is just like it's one of those classes that I can spend a lot of time in, and I don't get bored of it because there's always something else to learn. I kind of get like I try to stay involved in math and like keep learning, and when I'm struggling, like just gotta pay more attention to it and learn about it more.
I mean, I sense from my end that there's 2 sides of math, right? There's the math that I can learn by memory, which I think is very important, multiplying, etc. But there's also math of seeing the connections, right?
Yeah.
I sense that you're one of those kind of guys that feels like you might see the connections a little bit.
Yeah, I do. I try to think about everything like that.
Because it gives you, I think in the end, gives you a better understanding.
It does, right? And you can apply it.
Right. While you've been in school, you've also worked too, right? So you got a lot of moving parts all the time.
Yeah, I do. Absolutely.
And how do you just keep your schedule tight,
Yeah,
right?
keep my balance. Like I got a weekly schedule. It doesn't change. I try to stay on top of it.
All right. Talk to me about what particular skills would you think you've learned at Calvert Hall? Time management.
Yeah, definitely time management. That's like probably one of the biggest things. I also learned to not procrastinate. That goes along with it. Just kind of stay on top of your assignments that you have, because our assignment center, like I know when to do things, and so I'm not like pressuring myself.
What do you think in the 4 years you've been here has been the single hardest academic task you had? You know, what assignment or whatever or thing that really tested you a little bit, you know, over the years?
That's a hard question. Honestly, I'd probably say my anatomy class as a whole this year.
Oh, you're taking anatomy?
Taking anatomy.
That's a difficult class,
it's
right?
It's really difficult.
And what are lots of stuff to know, right?
There's so much to know, and it moves really quickly.
And clearly a college level class, right? I mean, this is not just like souped up biology, right? This is a lot to it.
Like every week you're learning a new system. And
have you guys used the anatomy table thing at all?
Yeah.
Work with that? Talk about that a little. That's a pretty cool piece of apparatus, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and you just kind of learn all the moving parts and
3Ds it. Yep. Makes like a computer presentation. Mm-hmm. Just adds to it a little bit. All right, Mason, that's good stuff. I'm going to ask you one last question. Thanks so much for your time. I'm going to give you a prompt, and I want you to give me a one-word reply. Okay, and we're getting feedback from all the people we work with. Mason, I say Calvert Hall. You say
brotherhood.
That's great. All right, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Congratulations. Well done. We're here with sophomore Will Medley, and this is 8 Minutes with Will. Will, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You're involved in robotics here at Calvert Hall.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that experience.
I'm the programmer for our robotics team, and we won last year at the state championship and made it to Worlds.
And give people a sense of how a robotics competition works.
So basically, there's a 15-second autonomous period at the very beginning of a match, and then there's a minute 45 driver period.
So you guys build a machine.
Yeah.
And there's two different periods. One where you've pre-programmed it to do certain tasks.
Yes.
If it does well, that's great.
Yep.
And then the other part, you compete with other teams, right?
Yeah.
You have a partner team.
We have one partner, and then we compete against two other people.
Right. And there's a task.
Yes.
So give me an example of the task this year was. What was the task?
This year, the game was called Spin Up, and the main goal was just to shoot disc into there's like a raised platform you have to shoot into a bin, kind of like frisbee golf.
Right, but it's a little more complicated than that. Right? Talk about the machines.
The machine. So there were two main ways of shooting the disc. You can use a catapult, which is just like a little drawback and then shoot it, or you can use a flywheel, which is think of like a rubber gear that we're spinning really, really fast, and you push the disc forward. It would just launch.
My experience, generally the things that work best are the hardest to do too,
Yes,
right?
Of course.
It's like picking things up sometimes with the robots. You can pick them up by scooping them, or you can pick them up by getting the wheels to pull them in, right? So the whole process, you're working on your machine the whole season, right?
Yes.
And what kind of different things do you have to think about?
We have to think about center of balance. We have to think about how heavy it is, how fast we can be. If we can improve, like take a little bit of metal off to put it somewhere else. We want to stay a low weight, but also be efficient as possible.
And also, you got to worry about things like motors, right?
Yes.
So some people say, "Hey, put 7 motors on." Not as easily done as said, right?
Right. This year the limit was 8 motors.
Okay. But that affects the weight, and you got to worry about it all working. Talk about the autonomous part. How easy is it to program it to do what it's supposed to do?
Programming at times is really difficult. You test easily about 1,000 times before you actually get it to work perfectly. And you still got to test after that.
And it's the task, but it's also the machine, right? The machine's it's whether the machine responds or doesn't respond.
Right.
And you want to keep going with robotics when you go to college or that kind of stuff, right?
Yes, of course.
Programming.
Yes.
All right. You have an interesting hobby, right? In addition to being very involved with robotics, you're into baking.
Yes.
Right. When did you start? When did your baking career start, so to speak?
I started baking when I was 6 or 7. I started selling baked goods at my middle school in the 6th grade.
You were a hero in your middle school, so people.
Some say, yes.
Yeah, there you go. So, what kind of things are in your baking repertoire?
I love baking cheesecake. There's also cupcakes, cakes, banana loaves, breads, that type of things.
And the recipes?
Recipes?
Where do you find them?
You can look online for some, but I always like to tweak them a little bit to my own understanding, my own ways. Yeah.
And what's the? Have you had some baking failures?
Of course. When I first started making cheesecakes, they would get burned. They would rise too much. They would be too watery. They weren't set. Yeah.
But is there a hint you can give the audience about cheesecakes?
You gotta be patient with it. Give it its time when it needs its time, and you just gotta be patient.
You also like working with cupcakes.
I do love cupcakes. I love frosted cupcakes. I don't know why. It's weird. I just love it so much.
And you have the what do they call it, the frosting?
A little piping bag.
Piping bag.
Yeah.
And that's hard. I don't know. They look pretty messy.
It is messy. When I first started, it would always get on it would come out the top of the bag because I wasn't sealing it properly. It's a weird skill to grow into.
Now in your cake work, etc. Have you done any lettering?
I have done lettering. I have. You can do so. I I used to do it just writing straight on the cake, but
Yeah.
now I do like, it's called a royalizing, so it hardens over time, and I do it on a wax paper, so I can really follow, like if I'm tracing something,
Yeah.
I can trace it and then just lay it on top of the cake.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I would not be very good at doing the icing part. It's a real skill, right?
Yes.
You got to have a steady hand on the way. At Calvert Hall, you've also been involved in the Black Student Union, right?
Yes.
Pretty big group.
Big group, huge group.
How many guys?
I think the roster is 150 or something.
Nice. And, some different things, some regular meetings, right?
We have meetings almost every Wednesday. It's a student-ran program, but there's always a mentor, obviously.
Okay.
But, yeah.
And so kind of informative but fun too, right? Not just hard working.
Yeah, we go to like other schools. We'll collaborate with other BSUs from other schools. We'll have events like at the very beginning of the school year. We had a BSU cookout, which I brought cupcakes to. Obviously, got to contribute. Yeah.
That's nice. Coming to Calvert, your brother goes here, right? So he kind of laid the groundwork a little bit, but still you're your own person. So coming to a place like Calvert, and you came from a pretty small school?
Very small school.
How many kids in your 8th grade?
My graduating class is 25 kids.
Okay. What was the school?
Trinity Lutheran.
Okay. Up in Hartford County, I guess.
Yes.
Right. So what did you think coming to Calvert Hall? What did you see coming that you liked? What was the challenge you thought of?
I was scared because it's such a big school. I wasn't used to it at all. I was really excited because the class sizes were actually smaller than my middle school. They were like relatively like compact. I was ready for that one-on-one with the teacher. I was scared that I was gonna get lost actually. It was too big.
But it came out not so much, right?
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. No.
Right? And what about besides your brother, did you know a lot of people when you came here?
3 of my friends came here from my middle school.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
And since you've been here, you probably made a lot of friends.
Yes.
Like when people work around Calvert, because we don't have the bells and all that stuff, you can kind of go where you want. They got different places they like to hang. Do you have a special place you usually hang?
I normally hang in the counselor's office.
Okay.
I love the counselors. They're very nice. They're very inclusive.
They know who you are.
Yeah, they know who I am.
And also, it's a fairly quiet space, right?
Very quiet.
So it gives you a chance to do your work. All right, you're a pretty busy guy. You're baking, you're robotics, you're going to events, you're social, I'm sure. So how do you balance all that out?
Time management is key. You gotta have good time management. I learned that my freshman year. I had poor time management, got better, and now I'm doing pretty good now.
Okay, one of your favorite subjects is math. What
Math.
you guys with the computer science, because you've taught yourself to program a little bit, right? And you're taking algebra 2, but next year you're looking to jump up into honors pre-calculus.
Yes.
So what do you like about math?
I love, for some reason it's weird, I love the equations. It's just so easy. I love being able to memorize them, be able to use them, utilize them, and I also use
See the patterns.
robotics. Yeah.
What time do you have to get up and come to Calvert Hall every morning?
I have to wake up at 6:30.
It's pretty early.
It is pretty early.
All right, but you can make it all work.
I do make it work, yes.
Going forward to college, what are you thinking? You're only a sophomore, but what are you thinking in terms of preparation for college? What kind of preparation do you feel like you're getting here?
Study skills, team management, and then obviously the campus, a really big adaptation, and yeah.
And the different opportunities to do different things. Hey, academically, class is tough.
Yes.
Too tough. What's your sense of that?
They're tough. Like they're utilized to me, so everything's personalized to me. You can take a different level of classes. I stayed mid grade, and then some classes I went up, some classes I went down. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
People I think at Calvert Hall build good relationships with their teachers. Is there a teacher that you've kind of got a particularly good relationship with?
A teacher I can always rely on is Mr. Freeman. He's always there whenever I need him.
And you've had him in class?
I haven't.
What's he bring to the classroom?
He's a very chill teacher. He always talks to students. He has a great connection with all the students, and he always brings a good atmosphere.
Enthusiastic, right? He's a Calvert Hall graduate himself. So, Will, it's great talking to you. Good luck with everything you're involved in. You got a lot of moving parts, but you've really done a lot in a short period of time. So, Will, we've been asking guys on this show to I'll give you a prompt. You give me a one-word response. Will Medley, if I say Calvert Hall, you say?
Inclusive.
Inclusive, that's awesome. That's 8 minutes with Will Medley. We'll see you again on the Ocho. This is the Ocho, and we're going to do 8 minutes with Ethan D'Souza. Ethan's a junior and a McMullen Scholar. Welcome to the show. Hey, Ethan, you have a particular interest in the area of finance.
That's correct.
Started when you were young. Tell us how I got started.
So when I was 11, I was fortunate to have my parents gift me some Amazon shares. I was fortunate to see those shares go up 400, 500% since that time. And that kind of sparked my first interest in finance. So I've been following financial markets since the 6th, 7th grade, discussing it with my parents, and it's just been an area of growth for me, but also something that I love to follow.
Can you tell me a company right now you think is an interesting company to follow?
Interesting company to follow right now. So I think personally that companies like Roblox are interesting to follow. A company like Roblox has very little investment initially into the company. It's more of a platform. But
What's the business?
What's the business itself? So Roblox is a platform for people to upload games. But essentially they take 30% of all the transactions that happen on that platform, and that's how they make money. So I think that the business model is very interesting and that it has a lot of potential.
So you'll research these companies and follow them and stuff like that, right?
Of course.
And of course, in your investments, it's really about the quality of the products a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not some of those things. Some stocks are all smoke and mirrors, people would say, but you're looking at really the valuation and what it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Part of your opportunity to experience that at Calvert Hall is with the Future Business Leaders of America Club, which we have here at school. Give me a little overall sense what that club does and how it works.
So FBOA, it's moderated by Ms. Willenborg. I was fortunate to have the chance to join it this year at a CFO position, and I was tasked with running the stock market game this year. So that's a game where our members are able to invest $100,000, a simulation of course, but they're able to invest, and we have winners, and they have their strategies, and it's overall a great process, I think.
So it's an interesting game too because it helps the research, right? So the guys who research better, but because it's a short game. How long does it last?
It lasts from October of the year we start until June this year.
So October to June. Unfortunately, a little bit downside. You're not going to invest in Amazon and hold it the whole time, right? You're going to have to make some trades, right? Because the guy who's going to win that is going to make some trades and make some moves. So you've got to hustle a little bit, and you can't look for all the blue chips, right? What would be some stocks you like for that kind of game?
So some of the stocks that have done really well for me this year have been kind of interesting. Initially, the first few weeks, that was when inflation was a bit high and the federal funds rate was low. I believe that they would hike rates, so I went with an inverse ETF. That happened to do well for me, and as well as I shorted Bed Bath, and I shorted BuzzFeed as well because they.
So shorting is when you expect a company's stock to go down, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, and Bed Bath is a real winner / loser because they went in the tank, right?
Oh, yeah.
Very good. That was a good choice.
Yeah.
But it's a good game, right? And you can play the game as simple or as hard as you want, right? So for every person involved in the game, they're getting something out of it, right? Even if you're just chasing, I'm going to do 5 stocks, you're going to get a little bit more, churn a little bit more, but it's a good way to learn about stocks, right? And companies and how they work. Another thing FBLA does is they go on trips and things. And speakers, trips and speakers. Tell me about trips and speakers.
So I'll start off with our speakers. We've been very fortunate to have former Calvert Hall alumni speak at the FBLA this year. Some of those people include Mr. Dennis Chapman, Mr. Bob Wohlhorst, and Mr. Chris Jansen, who have all been fortunate. We've been fortunate to have them. And one of our upcoming speakers, which I'm really looking forward to, is Mr. Jeff Nattens, who's obviously on the board of trustees here. So.
Yep, Mr. Nattens worked on Wall Street, worked in finance and mergers and acquisitions, good background. Mr. Chapman, very interestingly, for older people, played basketball at the University of Massachusetts with a very famous player named Dr. J. So, and he's had a very successful career. So you get those kind of people, and then you get a trip here and there too, right? So you guys took a trip?
So we recently took a trip to the offices of J.P. Morgan in downtown Baltimore. We were able to meet with another former Calvert Hall alumni, Mr. Doug Holthouse, as well as some former Loyola alumni, Gavin Barger and Mr. Reginald Boateng. So we were very fortunate to have that happen. They walked us through a case study there about financial planning, and we also discussed the SVB failure.
Oh, very nice, very nice. So the FBLA, a lot of different options, a lot of different things you can do. It's a pretty active club. Well, one more thing, there's some contests. So talk to us about the contest.
Of course. So each year the FBLA has a competition, and that's to compete for a national title individually. So you can take a test ranging from accounting, business management, personal finance, essentially any topic in finance or real estate or business in general. And depending on how well you do, you can go to nationals, you can go to states, This year I competed in personal finance and I placed second in the state.
Very cool. Give me what kind of question they ask you on the personal finance thing? What are you supposed to know?
That's more budgeting.
Budgeting.
That's, managing money.
Understanding debt and things like this, and a little bit, or credit cards or whatever.
Yeah, basic finance.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Coming to Calvert Hall, you went to Dumbarton, a fine school. What do you think about the Calvert Hall experience? You've been here a couple years now. What's it doing for you, and what do you feel like? What makes it special, maybe, or unique?
I truly feel that Calvert Hall has something for everybody. I have met people who are very similar to me, have similar goals, and I've met people who are extremely different, and that's amazing because I get to learn new things every day. The teachers here are amazing, and I just feel like the whole place has something for everybody, no matter if it's sports, academics, extracurriculars. So
let's go back to finance because you hopefully you can give us some insight because I got to work on my retirement funds. What's your take on the recession? Going to have one? Not going to have one? What are you thinking?
So thankfully the federal funds rate is now at 5.25%. Inflation's at 5%. So the federal funds rate is finally above inflation, which is a good sign. However, obviously there is the debt ceiling issue, which I hope will be resolved. That's coming up in June. But a lot of analysts who are much smarter than me do believe that we will go into a recession. If we do, I just hope that it's a short one.
What's your best sources for your research? Like, what do you get? What shows or websites, newspapers? What do you like?
I personally read the Wall Street Journal.
Okay.
And Bloomberg Business.
Yeah, no comics in the Wall Street Journal, right?
No comics.
No, it's pretty good though. It's pretty good. And Bloomberg Business is good. Now, Bloomberg all started out with that Bloomberg machine for the terminal, which was amazing. People still use it, right? It's unbelievable the way that business grew. Who's your investment side, like historical figure? Who do you like?
I like a few. So there's Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, obviously, the Oracle of Omaha. He's gotten things right for the past 70 years. The way he started to what he's done now, I just admire him. And his modesty, how down to earth he is. If the market's up, he'll buy a sandwich with bacon from McDonald's. If it's down, he won't.
Yeah.
I admire Michael Platt. He was in the Bloomberg Business News a few months ago. His hedge fund returned 153% last year, and he only manages his own money. So I really admire.
That's pretty impressive.
His risk.
Well, that's good stuff. It's a great conversation, Ethan. Very well done. We've been asking people a prompt. We give them a prompt. We ask for a one-word reply. Okay, and we're just trying to see what people say. So, Ethan Souza, I say Calvert Hall. You say
Hall. Yeah.
Well done. Well done. Thank you, Ethan. Welcome to the Ocho. We're going to do 8 minutes with guys in our academic quiz team. First, let's let them introduce themselves. Starting with Luke.
I'm Luke Dragonette. I went to St. Louis School, and
you're a senior.
Senior.
Hi, I'm Graham Slemp. I went to Sacred Heart of Glendon, and I'm a senior.
I'm Vasilius Vandenberg. I went to St. Paul's Lutheran, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Nathan Cox. I'm a junior, and I went to Immaculate Conception.
I'm Michael Infusi. I'm a junior, and I went to Immaculate Heart of Mary.
Very good. Luke, give us an idea of the competitions that you guys perform or take in.
Yeah, so we compete in the Catholic Academic League with other Catholic schools in the area, answering various questions.
How often do it meet?
We meet twice a week as a team and compete 5 times a year.
And how long is a contest?
It takes a couple of hours. You play 2 matches in one day, and each one's about an hour.
Nathan, what kind of stuff do you practice? What do you got to know to be good in this? How does it work to be good?
Yeah, so we really do all sorts of different stuff. And so we learn all sorts of things. So pop culture kind of stuff, math, English, social studies, a lot of history kind of stuff, which I kind of struggle with personally. But yeah, kind of well-rounded, a lot of stuff.
Michael, is the buzzers important? Being good with the buzzer?
Yeah, I think you gotta know your buzzers, because if you get a confusing buzzer, like if you get a new buzzer at the tournament, you're not used to it.
But you also don't want to. You can't anticipate your answers, right? I mean, you sort of want to answer when you know the answer, right? Yeah. You don't want to be in too soon and kind of mess yourself up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
but we've done well, right, Graham? We've done well.
Oh, very well. We were undefeated this year, and we won the championship.
It's good. It's good.
What are all these guys' red jackets?
What are some of the difficult? We've heard a little bit, but so what are the different categories? Like I watch Jeopardy, I can zip through some categories. Other categories, I got nothing. What's tough?
Well, a lot of the time it's called potpourri. It's just general mixed bag.
Okay.
And there'll be categories sometimes where sometimes it'll be like answer starts with a certain letter, or it'll be like a category like history. But in terms of like what kind of there's any kind of question.
So is it a cross between trivia a little bit and like flat out knowledge? You got to know stuff. All right. I'm a math guy. Michael, how hard are the math questions?
And sometimes they're simple, like just like algebra, like what's the square of this number. But other times you can get like calculus. You can get a lot of those.
And when you guys practice, I guess you compete against each other.
Yes.
Like that?
Oh yeah.
Well, who's the best amongst yourselves? Michael?
Mike. You look like yeah.
And do you do a lot of studying, or I mean, does it just come to you? What do you do?
I don't know. I think I'm always learning things.
Right.
But I wouldn't say I'm like actively preparing for competitions, right?
Okay.
Like that.
Not anything particular to look for or whatever like that. And there's no. Do you feel like sometimes when you now who was the primary team when we went to events?
You, me, Mike, and Tosh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you guys, is there like, for your team, did you have like a particular strength, like Luke's good with like cricket questions and stuff like that? Is there, how's the team lineup, Graham? What do you think?
That's always what you want to do. You want to have someone that's good at math, usually history, and put geography in there maybe. And especially you always want someone on the team who's just willing to guess a random answer and be willing to make themselves look like a fool. But just go out.
Does it generally pay to guess or not guess?
Yes. You don't get points off for a guess.
Okay.
So
okay.
if no one knows it, you might as well try it.
Do you guys watch any of those quiz shows on TV? No.
Sometimes.
What's the one I watch? What's the one where the guys at the top? Oh dang. You gotta go against them.
The Chase.
The Chase. You ever watch that?
Yeah, I've watched some of that.
That's pretty good. I mean, at the end, the team gets their score, and then they have to kind of. He can't answer as fast as they do, whatever. The one guy is just ridiculous. He can go through 16 questions in like 2 seconds. It's unbelievable how much he knows. But you guys have been involved in other things just besides the quiz stuff. Graham, you've been in mock trial, right?
Yes.
Talk a little about mock trial. It's a pretty cool club.
So I've been doing it for 4 years. It's a lot of fun. So we compete in an actual courtroom, and we have 3 witnesses, 3 attorneys, and we just ask our witnesses questions. We cross-examine other witnesses, and then some of our attorneys make opening and closing statements where we just flat out argue.
You guys have to prepare both sides, kind of thing.
Depends on how many attorneys we have, but this year we have 4, so yes.
And what kind of case is it?
Depends. You usually flip between civil and criminal.
Okay.
It was criminal this year.
And how do you receive points or whatever? How do you beat the other team, so to speak?
How good your arguments are, how good your questions are, and there's a decorum point, basically how well you comport yourselves.
Okay. And it's kind of interesting, right? I mean, you got to know a lot of stuff. You have to think on you prepare your questions, right? But you have to think on your feet a little bit.
You're not allowed to have paper, so for your opening and closing arguments, you can obviously memorize it beforehand,
Sure.
But you have to just talk. Same thing for questions. Both the witness has to know what they're saying without paper, and you have to know what your questions are without paper.
And how long are those opening and closing presentations?
Opening's 5 minutes, closing is 7.
5 minutes is pretty long.
It is.
And you got to be somewhat factual, or you're trying to persuade people, right?
Right.
It's persuasive also. I mean, we're going with the facts, but you're setting the facts up in a certain order.
Yeah, of course.
All right. So as you do Model UN?
Yes, I do.
That's a pretty interesting group. What's the way what do you guys do when you compete? How's it work?
Well, it's a lot like debate, except that you're given the role of a country or delegate, and you basically have to argue from their perspective. And in debate, there's a moderator that is the judge. At Model UN, they're called committees, and we write background guides for them. They're student-led. A student will go up and will be the chair, and for whatever the scenario is, the people who are participating will have to argue aside from a certain perspective, basically, and if they have to persuade each other to pass legislation, basically, to benefit their.
What's a typical kind of question you would have? What kind of topic?
We host every year a Hall Month, a Model UN conference, and so we had committees like a GA on water scarcity, a lot of global issues, water scarcity, any kind of border dispute.
So now are people supposed to come to that meeting already doing some research, or you do it while you're there? How's that work?
At the committees, at the actual competitions, you have weeks in advance to do
You,
research.
you know what you're going into.
You know what you're going into. Well, there is a special kind called ad hoc, but that isn't as common.
Okay. So you find it a good experience.
Yes, definitely.
Nathan, you've been involved with the math club. Talk about the math club.
Yeah, so I was able to start the math club this year, and we've been competing in the Maryland Math League. So each month we do a different competition against about 40 different schools in the state, and yeah, we've been doing pretty good for having a small group for our first year, and I'm looking forward to doing more.
Describe how those tests work.
Yeah, so each month we take a test here at our school, which is 6 questions on paper, and it's all sorts of problem solving and things like that. And then after that, our scores are compared with those of students at other schools to make standings and things like that.
And in your opinion, how difficult are the questions?
I think they really range in difficulty. The first 1 or 2 you can definitely solve just very easily with some paper and maybe a calculator.
Common sense.
Yeah, and then as you get farther down, like the last 1 or 2 are just not possible most of the time, and I end up just making stuff up. Sometimes it works.
Sometimes they're geometrical or something like that, or
yeah.
How many triangles are inside a tetrahedron or some goofy question, right?
Yep.
And they're always. I used to work on that. Those last couple questions are amazingly hard.
Yeah.
Some of them, the middle 2 sometimes can be done like kind of a unique way, and also like a hardcore way. Right?
Yeah. So yeah, I try to do a lot of kind of different techniques, and I try to use my calculator as much as I can because that's allowed. And also with geometry stuff, I a lot of time will just make up numbers for some of the measurements, and it actually works out. Like,
There you go.
it's not
There you go.
so-
Well, nothing beats a good guess. Guys, thanks for your time. I'm going to give you a prompt and ask you to give a one-word reply. You can use the same reply as another person if you like. Okay, I say Calvert Hall. You say
exciting,
fun,
community,
family, tradition.
All right, thanks. That's 8 minutes with our It's Academic Quiz team. Well, how long are we on? We're with Emmanuel Wangi on the Ocho. Emmanuel's a junior, often known as E-Man. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right. Very good. You've done a number of things at Calvert Hall in your time here. Let's talk about a couple of them. Let's talk a little bit about your experience in engineering.
So yes, what I do in engineering, basically we do like a lot of things. So like when I did engineering 1, I was mainly focused more on the Fusion 360 and exactly how to do 3D.
Now Fusion 360 is a 3D, what is it?
3D modeling.
3D modeling. Okay. Have you done any 3D printing?
We have not done that.
Okay. But you're on the way up. What's engineering 2 more about?
Engineering 2 is more about the theoretical side of engineering.
And doing some projects.
Yes.
What kind of projects have you done in that class?
So we've built circuits. We do PowerPoint presentations because it's like we have to learn how to present an idea if we're in the corporate world.
And now you're thinking engineering is your major in college, possibly.
That is what I.
And you know, there's different engineerings: chemical engineering, civil engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical. Have you thought about what direction, or you just thinking engineering in general?
I've actually thought about the direction of engineering that I'd want to go to. So if God wills, what I'd be willing to do is industrial engineering.
Oh, cool. And that if I'm right now, industrial engineering is like planning, building things, right? I mean, tell me what you would think. What are some of the items there? Design work, more kind of.
It's basically looking at like industrial processes and asking yourself, are they efficient? Are they not? What can you do to fix it?
So how to make things go faster, work faster, sort, whatever.
Yes.
Well, that's good. That would be a good give you a different. You could go a lot of different ways with that, right? I mean, because you could focus in different industries, but still doing industrial engineering.
Yes.
That's awesome. At Calvert Hall, you've done some speech and debate. Interesting, because there's different things that people do in speech and debate. You did Lincoln Douglas. Talk a little bit about that.
Yes. So my experience at Lincoln Douglas, what I did was that we got a point, and then we basically had to do research on both the affirmative and negative side.
You're given a resolution that is resolved. All right, I'll do a simple one that honors pre-calculus is an awesome class, right? And then you would have to research that and come up with what's your goal in that, doing your research?
Oh, my goal is to come up with an affirmative and negative, be able to argue each side. Then when I compete, I win.
but interestingly, you have to do research. Interestingly, you have to be willing to equally argue either side.
Yes.
Right. So that's a little bit difficult, right? Because sometimes we have a bias. Like I might personally like one side better than the other.
Yeah, that's a big one.
You have to play through that though.
Yeah.
And then tell me how the competition actually works. You know, I go, you go. How's that work?
Okay, so it's 6 minutes on the affirmative, then I think you get a 3-minute cross-examination, then you do 7 minutes for the for the negative, in which you argue your argument, and then you give a rebuttal to the affirmative, and then after the negative argues, I believe the affirmative gives their rebuttal, and then the negative gives their rebuttal.
Wow.
You have 4 minutes of prep time.
And the your experience, the rebuttals can be effective.
They are as effective as you make them.
So you got to have a point in the rebuttal too. You just can't just say, and I said that, right? You've got to kind of something different to add, maybe.
You have to connect to your point to why another argument is not as good of an argument.
Got it. Well done. You also do Model United Nations.
Yes.
We've talked to a couple guys about Model United Nations, but it's very interesting. There's policy. There's groups of policy. It's kind of student run the conferences. How's that work?
Oh yeah. So when we run a conference, like for example, every year we run Hallmark. Basically we have a Secretary General. He hosts Hallmark. He starts the conference, and then from there students go to their separate rooms where they do their committees. And in those committees, what we do is we are focused on how can we find a solution to the specific problem that we researched, playing the role of our country's building blocks working together.
So you research a country, or you represent a country. So you have to also kind of apply your solution to your country's resource availabilities also?
Yes, that's generally what you have to do. And also you have to apply it to a more global context, a more UN context. And you also have to make a series of compromises.
Right, but you couldn't make it wouldn't be great to make an American-sized solution to a problem on behalf of Panama, because they wouldn't have the resources or things like that. You gotta kind of take that into account.
Yes, you do have to take that into account, but also when you think about those issues, what you also have to think about is the perspective of each person that you're playing, and like the perspective of each side, and you have to advocate for their perspective in order to win.
And how about do people compromise? Or is that hard?
Compromise is a challenge. Most of the time people do compromise, but there have been times when we have failed to reach a compromise and we've gotten no resolution through.
Wow. Interesting. And what do you think is effective to get a compromise?
I believe that what is effective is negotiation skills, understanding of parliamentary procedure, and literally just the willing to do work and show that you know the most. And also, one tip, speak first.
Speak first.
Yes.
And you learn, and in this Model UN, you're learning like things like parliamentary procedure, but you're also learning current events. You're also learning how to talk to people, social interaction. There's a lot of benefits of it.
Yes, there is.
Good. You came to Calvert Hall from a pretty small school?
I would say that it was a very large school, so...
Oh, it was large.
Yeah.
It was decent. So Calvert Hall was a little smaller.
Yeah, it was a middle school, high school, so Calvert Hall was probably like the same size.
Same size. All right, so let me ask this question though. What is it that's attracted you to Calvert Hall? You thought this is a good fit for me?
Two things: brotherhood and opportunity.
Opportunity in terms of everything, or academics, or
opportunity in terms of everything. I could improve my academics. I have all these new clubs I can do. I can learn exactly how to be a better leader, so on and so forth.
As you get ready for college, right? You're still a year away. What skills have you gotten out of the Calvert Hall system, so to speak? What have you learned? You obviously got classes and had good class experience, but what kind of academic skills do you think you've added to your repertoire?
I have study skills. I've built my time management skills. I've also been able to build my discipline.
And that's going to pay off in the long run, I think, for you.
I believe so.
College, you're looking forward to? Big school, small school? Haven't thought about it.
Well, I haven't really thought about the size of the school. I'm more thinking about like the quality of the education that they provide, because academics is what is most important to me when I'm looking at college.
Have you started looking at your intro? Where are you?
I have been in the start of looking at the college process and doing exams and so on and so forth.
Very good. Well, that's enjoyed talking to you. You got a lot of different things going on, and really, Calvert Hall is a result of one of the great things about Calvert Hall is getting people who add to the school and make a contribution, which you certainly have. Emmanuel, I'm going to ask you a one-word prompt. I'm going to ask you for a one-word reply. I say Calvert Hall. What do you say?
Opportunity.
Well done. That's 8 minutes with Emmanuel. Welcome to the Ocho. 8 minutes with sophomore Anderson Becker. Anderson, welcome. All right, you've got a lot of things going on here. We're going to hit in a quick 8 minutes. Let's first talk about your participation in band. What bands are you in?
I'm in wind ensemble, big band, full marching band, and a competition marching band.
That's a lot of stuff. And you play a lot of instruments. What instruments do you play?
My main instrument is trombone. My secondary instrument is euphonium. It's like a giant trumpet, and then I can play the piano.
Well, that's a pretty impressive trombone. I never understood with no valves or whatever. How do you know where the notes are?
You take a really long time to learn it because every single slide position you can crazily add to.
And so that's got to take a ton of practice.
Yes.
But when a guy like you who's very practiced, you can hit those slides pretty easily.
Yes.
What's the range on a trombone?
The range on trombone goes, it's like one octave. It's like pitched an octave and a half below a trumpet or something.
Okay. And are you in the bass clef or no?
Bass clef.
Bass clef. And how about you can do the two hands with the piano, so you're good with the bass clef.
Yes.
I'm a good one-handed piano player, but if you have a sense of all the clefs and how they all fit together.
Yes.
Very good, excellent. You're also a member of the LaSalle program. It's a historically tremendous program. Been here, probably over 35 years, maybe. Tell us a little bit about your participation in the LaSalle program.
Well, my LaSalle teacher is Miss Gillen, and she's like the one who's been here the longest, so I think she knows the most about LaSalle. And what we do in LaSalle is we help gain, like, we learn stuff. We learn what to do and help us prepare to like get better study skills. Like we learn vocab that we're able to then use in our writing.
Right. So really, you're a guy who's a great student. Have some learning differences. You don't learn the same as other people. This program helps you kind of work with that. But really, what Ms. Gillen's working with you is strategies, right? To help to improve your skills, to make up that gap sometimes that the differences cause. That seem
Yes.
right to you? Yes. How often do you meet with? How's that work program wise?
I meet in the LaSalle Center every day. And I am with another student 5 times of the day, and then I'm by myself 1 day of the cycle.
And there's homework in LaSalle like in every other class,
Yes.
right? And there's grades, right? So it's about your effort and what you put into it. But you've been in the program now almost 2 years. Do you sense it's really providing some value to you?
Yes, my study habits are completely different than they used to be before LaSalle.
Awesome. You're a part of the tennis program too.
Yes.
Tennis is having a great season, varsity, JV, etc. Tell us a little about what's going on with tennis.
Tennis, we have today's Monday, we have a match, and we play against Loyola. We're number 2 seeded right now. We've only lost to Gilman, but we think we can beat Gilman for the championship.
Very good. You've been playing tennis a long time also?
Yes.
Ever played pickleball?
Yes.
Racquetball?
No.
Squash?
I think so.
All right. What do you think about pickleball?
Pickleball is very different from tennis.
It's very different.
Yeah, it looks the same, but the whole vibe is completely different.
Just it's still the reactions, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about your tennis game. What would you say your game is? What's your strategy when you play?
I guess just ball placement and then just kind of hitting it a lot of spin.
Big serve?
Big serve.
Do you have one of those oversized rackets?
No.
No, not so much.
No.
All right. Tell us a little bit about in 2 years here at Calvert Hall. What have you learned? What's the sense? How's the school day go for you? Give me a little feel for what Calvert Hall's meant to you in the 2 years you've been here.
Well, even from the very first moment, like we had bands practice before school started, before my freshman year. So going into my freshman year, I knew I had this sense of people that I've been with for 2 weeks every single day, and I've just felt connected to them. And going into school, I had this new group of friends that I didn't have that before. So I just felt immediately I felt this sense of community.
Good. Talk to me about teachers here at Calvert Hall. I mean, what's your sense of? I mean, you don't have to name names, but tell us about the teachers. What do you feel about your experiences so far?
I like the teachers.
And they're helpful. They're good, easy to meet with. Or how do you use? Well, wait. Let's talk about unscheduled periods. Okay. So at Calvert Hall, there's 6 days in a week, 8 periods in a day, 48 periods. Younger guys like yourself would typically have 2 unscheduled periods a day, 1 for lunch, 1 for study, meet with a teacher, go see a guidance counselor. You've got a loaded up schedule because band is also an academic class, right?
Yes.
So there's some band music classes that kind of fit in there. You have the LaSalle program, which kind of is like an extra class, right? So the typical sophomore might have 12 unscheduled periods in 6 days. How many do you have?
I have 7. I only get 12 after AP World finishes up.
Very good. That's a challenging schedule. How have you been able to eat lunch every day?
It's tough. I just kind of like in between classes, I go outside and I'll eat like a little snack real quick because on day 1 my only period is 7th, and then I have other days where it's like 2nd.
And you've got a lot of things going on balancing. How have you been able to balance it all?
I guess just going home after tennis and then just knocking out homework for a few hours and then going back in and doing it again. And sometimes I get to school even before band. Like this morning I got to school.
What time does band start?
7:30.
7:30.
I got to school at 7 and then knocked out a couple last pieces of my homework this morning.
So you're always on the move.
Yes.
So you'll take the whole summer and just sleep.
I hope yes.
Tell me a little bit more about competition band, that whole process and how it all comes together.
Very, very painstakingly. It's so much effort. I think you put the most effort into C&D out of anything in the school.
Starting when? Before school even starts, right?
We have Wednesday night rehearsals every week in the summer, 6 to 9 p.m. Just learning the music. So it starts almost as quickly as the school year ends.
But it's music, and I don't even want to say it's more than just marching. It's movements, right?
Yes.
And you do it over and over and over.
Yes, because it needs to be perfect.
Right. And what's it like going to those competitions?
It's very different from anything you would ever imagine. It's like going back to the sense of community. It just feels like you're part of something larger than yourself.
And the teams are really, really good, right?
Yes.
And you get adjudicated on what do we get adjudicated on?
You get adjudicated on footwork, whether like people are out of line or something, whether you're not marching in time, and if they can hear people over other people that they're not supposed to, they can tell because they're adjudicators, and you'll get marked down points for that.
So it's very picky stuff.
Yes.
I mean, you got to be good.
Yeah, our school's highest I think is 98, and that's insanely high.
Wow. All right, you took AP World History, right? Have you already had the test?
The test is Thursday.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I think we'll get like a 4. I feel
so
like
5 being the highest, right?
Yes.
4s and 5s are awesome grades. Well, actually, 3 is a passing grade, which is more than just passing, but 3, 4s, and 5s. So you feel pretty well prepared.
Yes.
What do you think the trick is to AP World? Not the trick, but besides the material, you got to be able to present it.
Yeah. So in AP World, the multiple choice questions are just talking about it's the context within it. Like you just have to know what they're asking within the question, and you can get it. Like because it has all the information in the question.
So yeah, you got to learn how to read the questions and think about putting everything together and synthesize. Really, you got to put things together.
Yes.
Well done. Well, that's a great 8 minutes, Anderson. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask you one question. I'm going to give you a prompt. I'm going to ask you for a 1-word response. So, Anderson, I say Calvert Hall. You say?
Oh, yeah.
Sounds good. That's it. Welcome to the Ocho. That's right, the 88 keys with Henry Wolf Jr., special edition of the Ocho. Henry, you're involved in a lot of music stuff here. Tell us what you're involved in.
Sure, I'm in the jazz orchestra primarily. I'm in the jazz combo as well, the liturgy band, and a few other music programs wherever I'm needed around.
Tell us about the liturgy band.
Sure, in the liturgy band, we play mostly at the masses, all the songs, the great music you hear on the streams and stuff like that. We rehearse not that much, usually like 3 or 4 days before we get all the music, we come together and we just play it. It's very spiritual.
Give me a little overview of like how many people are in the liturgy band, roughly.
So you have me on piano there. We usually have a guitarist and a bassist and maybe an acoustic guitar. Usually you'll see 3 or 4 vocalists to get the harmonies in, and always there's a drummer.
Good, so it's a pretty good group of guys.
Oh yeah.
All right, talk to me a little bit about your musical background.
I've been playing piano my whole life, and music's been always a huge part of my life. Got it from my mother and my father, and we all share music in our life. I also play the guitar a lot, a classical, electric, acoustic. It's just a fun time.
You also can do like a little rock. You're in a band outside of school.
I am. I play the electric. We play some pop punk like Green Day or Nirvana and Soundgarden and stuff like that.
So you're musically covering all the genres pretty much. I mean, you've got liturgical, you've got classical, you've got blues, you've got rock and roll. That's great stuff. So today, you're going to play a little piece for us today. Give us a little overview of where that piece came from, what kind of piece we're listening
So
to.
me and my teacher, we like to share jazz and blues music. So we've been working on this piece ever since I started with her. And I play it everywhere I go. It's kind of like my finisher to mass or something like that. And I love to play it.
So. Oh, well, give us a little taste.
Sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a lot of practice.
It's a lot of fun.
A lot of practice. What we like about Calvert Hall is the students do a little bit of everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of variety of things can be involved with. Of course, you're in the Tom Miller Scholars Program, so you have a pretty rigorous academic program. You're also involved in the sailing club, right? And tell us a little about how the sailing club works.
We meet every Tuesdays and Thursdays, take the bus down to Rocky Point. Miss Mako is the moderator, and it's about like 10 of us. And so we rig up boats. They're called 420s, 420 centimeters long, a little bit wide.
Are they one-man, two-man boats? What are they?
Two-man boats.
Okay.
You have a main sail and a little jib sail. And we take them out. We do, we do sailing drills, the normal. And then every weekend or so, we have regattas, either at Rocky Point or at Kent Island, stuff like that.
And what's the event of a regatta? What's the competition?
We race. So usually it's an upwind course, and then you come down. It's actually really competitive.
So it's point to point, it's circular. How's the race go?
Point to point. So you start, and then you're going upwind, and then you come down, and you go upwind again, and then you finish. So.
Now, I don't know much about sailing. I know I do watch some sailing TikToks. You don't have to always have the wind with you to go forward, right?
Yes.
What are the tricks to sailing?
So the greatest way to look at it is the wind moves you. So as long as that sail is catching the wind, you're always moving. The one place you don't want to be is straight into the wind. You know what I mean? And so
it's a little geometry, right?
It is, yeah.
It's about the angles and stuff like that.
It's all about catching the wind. What angle the sail is at will get you moving fastest.
Now, when these get going a good clip, how fast are they going?
Oh man, I wish I could tell you.
I mean, is it pretty brisk?
It's pretty brisk.
You get going pretty good?
You know what? A good day to go sailing is when there's about 12 to 16 knots of wind.
Right. Too much wind's bad too, right?
Yeah, that's how you get wet.
Right. Tell me a little bit about how many sails do these boats have? Just one?
We have two.
Okay.
The big one that everyone's scared to feel. It's really when the wind gets going, it's hard to hang on to. And then you have the little front one. It's called the jib sail. It's usually for control and extra speed.
Now, on these boats, do you steer with a tiller, or do you kind of use the sail to steer?
You use the tiller to steer.
Okay.
It's an old-fashioned rudder, as you see on a lot of old boats. Really small though, and you have the tiller extension. So you're holding that, and you're holding the sail in one hand.
Cool. Cool. All right, talk to us. How do you got a lot going on because you're doing stuff outside of school. You're training. You're practicing, obviously your instruments, etc. You're studying for school. How do you balance all that out?
Good question.
Are you a late night studier?
No, I'm not a late night studier. I can say when I wake up every morning, the night before, I have a list of things that I want to get accomplished in the day.
You're a crosser offer.
Yeah, I like to have lists. So I'll go through, I have my classes, all the homework I can expect. I have to really pay attention to piano, have some recitals coming up. I like to dedicate some time to guitar, and on the days I have sailing practice, there's usually that trumps all my other.
Gotcha. Yeah. You don't practice piano on the boat at all.
No.
Right.
It's hard to do.
It's hard to do. Very good. Hey, talk to me a little bit about the academic side of the music program here at Calvert Hall.
Sure. So I and a few other students, we are in AP Music Theory this year. And there's a track from freshman to senior year. You can take the fundamentals of music, fundamentals of jazz theory, AP Music Theory, and then senior year is music composition. And it takes the young musical student and gives them further knowledge of what they're actually playing and why they're playing.
So breaking down the chords, figuring out how it all fits together,
Yeah.
and I think for the AP Music Theory class, you have to write pieces of music or sections of music for different instruments. How's that go?
It's actually pretty interesting. So a lot of AP Music Theory is very like Beethoven and Bach and Mozart and how all of them compose their music. So you get the 4 parts of the harmony that they wrote, and it really is math. You can take some of the pre-calculus and put it in. You have to follow the rules. You can't like double any leading tones or anything like that. But once you get the flow going, it sounds really good.
That's good. That's a lot of you have to know a lot, right?
Yeah.
You have to know a lot about the instruments, about the clefs, etc. So it's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. So we've been finishing up on our Ocho show. We've met a bunch of great Calvert Hall students. The thing I always say about Calvert Hall is I brought you maybe 35 students in this show. I could bring you 35 more, 35 more, 35 more. I could keep bringing them to you, and they would all represent Calvert Hall with distinction. All Day Holiday 8, the Ocho, continues. We're closing it on midnight. You can still make a gift. We greatly appreciate your support. Your support makes a difference. As we leave our last show of the evening, I'm going to ask Henry. Henry, take us out.